Sport.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
A well-trodden path. Lockett, Hall, Franklin, and now Curnow. The grass is greener at the SCG.
Back, relax, witness the greatest. Don't get better than this.
On his left, he couldn't bang through a third, can he? You bet he can!
It's from 45 on the run. And they've made it 6 in a row. What a goal. Nick Dacos takes the advantage, eyes the goals and kicks it. DNA doesn't lie. Want it down. Sock it off the ground by Will Ashcroft. He's a freak. That is just that. Freakish.
Welcome to the 2026 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport. On radio, on digital and ABC Listen.
You take a seat because it don't get better than this.
We are back under the bright lights of the Adelaide Oval for a clash between South Australia's favourite tenant and its latest resident. The Adelaide Crows hosting St Kilda, who stuck around after gather round. They spent the week at the Bay down at Glenelg, and they're trying to see if they can make it 2 from 2 in their South Australian getaway. Both sides hoping to string together some consecutive victories. They had a sluggish start to the season. Both had wins last week and now looking to amend what is an odd trend of fade-outs in different quarters. Adelaide with slow starts, and the Saints at the moment just struggling to win a third term. So we'll see how this all plays out. If it goes the way we've seen statistically, it might be a tale of two halves, but looking forward to how this clash will go between Adelaide and St Kilda on ABC Sport. There are no late changes for it either. Aaron Bryans and Tom Wilson to call the action for you alongside Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all, just want to mention we at ABC Sport would like to send our love and our thoughts to the family and the friends of Jared Dawson. A really devastating week here in South Australia, and our hearts go out to all of those who have been impacted by the loss of Jared. And if anyone listening is struggling or knows anybody that's battling with their mental health, you are not alone. Please call Lifeline for any time for support. 13 11 14 is that number, 13 11 14 if you are struggling. The news of today is that the Crows have encouraged the crowd tonight, which is looking relatively big, that at the 12-minute mark of the opening term there will be a moment of, recognition, and there'll be some applause for Jordan Dawson as well, who, the good scenes, and we're going to talk about this in a moment's time, footy clubs can be a family, and Jordan is in the rooms pre-game ahead of the clash between Adelaide and St Kilda tonight. Tom, good to see you.
Yeah, good
Recovered
to see you,
from
mate.
Gather Round?
I have. Very well said there regarding all the messaging. Have recovered from Gather Round, and the last game of Gather Round was St Kilda and Port Adelaide, which, Port Adelaide lost by 14 points and have almost gone out and beat one of the premiership favourites today in Hawthorn. So that might give St Kilda a bit of confidence, but I think this is a huge opportunity for Adelaide. Got back in the winners' circle last week. Of course, they will be without their skipper, but I think it sets up really well from them with the way they played and performed last week. For St Kilda, I was down at their training session and was at, the wonderful Ross Lyons press conferences, and there was all the Rossisms there, Cuddly Ross, the Cobblers, Cobble, all that sort of stuff. And he made a point to the AFL that they're the only club that had to, play back-to-back games in Adelaide from the Gather Round, and they had to play away games against Port and Adelaide. But he said he's up for the challenge. But he loves to send his message out there, doesn't he?
They went 1-1 last year, so maybe they can improve this year. But, yeah, I mean, it's not the hardest thing to argue or complain about when you're spending a week down at Glenelg and get to relish South Australia as well. So we'll see if it works out for St Kilda. And oddly for them, the last 4 times they've played Adelaide have been at this venue, so we haven't really seen them outside of South Australia, and hasn't overly gone their way either. So Adelaide have won 14 of the last 16 meetings between these two. The 7-time All-Australian, the former league best and fairest in the AFLW, and the 3-time Premiership Crow, Ebony Marinoff, is here. Noffy, thanks for coming on tonight.
No, it's a pleasure to be here again. I feel like I've been here quite a little bit lately, but really looking forward to this clash, like you touched on, kind of slow starts to both teams. And I feel like when you look across the board, these matchups are really juicy, and I think we're in for a great game. I know St Kilda like to defend a little bit strategically, but I feel like if the Adelaide Crows can get momentum, it's going to be a really important game for both teams as such.
And we obviously, as I mentioned before, we don't want to get too into Jordan Dawson's situation. We want to make sure that we're very respectful and give them their space. But you've been at the football club during the week, and I mentioned before about how much of a community the AFL can be and how good it is as a family at Westlakes or at any club. Can you just walk us through, I guess, the emotions of the week and how the football club's going?
Yeah, absolutely. As you can imagine, a really difficult time for the footy club, and yeah, you don't really like to say it, but in terms of having your genuine captain of the club go through that, the pressures that Dawson already has of captaining a football club and to then carry that. But I feel like we're very lucky to, everyone kind of always asks, how is it like being inside a footy club? And sometimes you feel a bit too lucky because you just have so much more support as others. And, I'm first to kind of put your hand up that you do feel lucky and privileged because you kind of do live a different life and you have so many different avenues and areas to support. But the club, have wrapped their arms around the Dawson family and, from the staff as well, everyone's been supported in every need. And I think you kind of just remember that it doesn't just affect the one person. There's so many other people that are triggered by these things. And, if we can wrap our hands around, all individuals, it's certainly what we've been able to do this week and continue to do moving forward as well, because, it's not just a one time, it's continuing to have awareness.
Well spoken, Noffy, and it was nice to see some scenes in the room of the players getting around Jordan. So hopefully they can help him heal through what is a heartbreaking situation to go through, and hopefully the playing group can get back to their best tonight and be able to put on a performance against St Kilda. Alongside Ebony Marinoff, as I touched on, the four-time Showdown medalist, All-Australian midfielder, our own Josh Franco's here, who knows the Saints in and out. You've seen him a fair bit. Josh, what are you expecting tonight?
Yeah, well, good evening, everyone. You talk about the Saints being here for the last 6 days. I feel like I'm paying rent at Adelaide Oval at the moment as well. We did 3 games last week. We're back on tonight. But, look, it's interesting when you look at how I think this game's going to unfold. I think this is a really big opportunity for Adelaide. We saw St Kilda last week. They started the game well against Port Adelaide, and probably from quarter time onwards, Port Adelaide really dominated all the KPIs. So I just think this is a game where Adelaide, albeit their skipper's missing, but where they can really put the foot on the throat and really springboard into the season 2026 proper.
Couple of big changes for them, though. So the 4 ins and outs. Luke Pedler returns, Hugh Bond as well. Jordan Butts had a concussion last week, so he's back in, bit of depth down back. Charlie Edwards is the big story, getting to make his debut. A first-round pick 3 years ago, banging the door down in the sandful and finally gets his crack. And we saw him a little bit in the pre-season against Freo. He slotted into the midfield in the absences of Berry and Saligo in that game down at Mandurah. So it's not foreign to him, but it's a big void to fill of Jordan Dawson. He's certainly got the big body to try and match it, though.
Well, the thing about midfielders these days, they're all so big. I know we mentioned it on Grandstand Radio this morning when the Western Bulldogs played Hawthorn last week, and you've got Connor Nash and Bontempelli lining up against each other. They're 195 centimetres. So what's Edwards?
191, I think.
191. So mids are massive these days, and you're right, he does fill the void from a physical point of view left by Jordan Dawson. So it'll be great to watch him, see how he performs at this level. He's got some quality players around him. Berry we spoke about as well, that he's taken his game to another level. Rochelle, I'm really excited to see what he can produce tonight because he's just getting better and better. Rankin will go through there, but in terms of the midfield mix with Edwards coming in, I think he adds a bit of balance to them.
So no Saligo tonight either. Ball Ace omitted and Mitch Hinge injured on return last week. The Saints just the one change, so Liam Stocker in and Alex Taro gets a spell after a really impressive start to his young career. He's just being managed through the week after some heavy duties playing both in the back line and the forward as well. In terms of, I guess, the superstars tonight, we're really looking at Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller, who's back on his home deck and really torched Port Adelaide last week. It was enough to get them over the line. Jace Burgoyne did his best to try and run with him, Noffy, but he's so versatile. He can get all around the ground in different roles, and he just kept shaking him. And tonight Adelaide will need to find a way to try and lock down what is one of the best players in the game. And historically, Matty Nix is usually pretty happy to do a bit of team defence, but it's never really worked. Nick Dacos, Marcus Bontempelli have always had mega games against the Crows. Are we going to see Nasiah really clamp down on Adelaide tonight?
Yeah, well, I was trying to look because I think I've been hearing things during the week to see if Max Michelini would go to him, but I can't. Might need binoculars, but I don't think he's over with the midfield group. But I feel like that is a potential that Matty Nix can deploy Max Michelini to Naz Wanganeen and Milera. I feel like they'll go head-to-head, though. And with Charlie Edwards, there probably was conversations around would he come in to the Geelong game when Dawson actually missed with the calf. But I feel like Dawson and Saligo both going up really opened that midfield spot without, really, I guess, affecting the forward line as such. So Charlie Edwards will predominantly play in that midfield rotation tonight. which is super exciting. He gets his chance. He was probably a little bit stiff at the start of the season when they had injuries. But really looking forward to seeing what he can do. But in terms of if there's a run with, I feel like you've just got to go head-to-head and both teams just have confidence in their own ability. I mean, you're talking about Naz, who can break open a game. We saw glimpses of Rankin on the Thursday night and gather around, get back to his best. We haven't seen his best this season, but another opportunity off an 8-day break. And, talk about being in-house. I feel like the weekend off, even just mentally speaking to the boys, they just have not had that for the last month. So be interesting to see how we see the Adelaide Crows start. And then with St Kilda, not many choose to stay in Adelaide. I remember Freo stayed last year and chose not to, but St Kilda have a few South Australians in, so they based themselves in Glenelg. We had some good weather, better weather than Gather Round. So it'll be interesting to see how they start, given the fact they have been on the road all week and in unfamiliar territory. The lead up is obviously a little bit different as well, but I'm biased, but it's not a bad way to spend your week after Gather Round, settling in Glenelg.
They were pretty happy. They went out to Dante's Deli and all that sort of stuff. I've seen them taking photos on the jetty. I think they really embraced it, and it's something that they wanted to do, and Ross Lyon was all on board. Speaking of Max Michelani, he's actually in the forward group. So that sort of suggests if Nasai might start back, or you've got Jack Sinclair back there. And we saw him get forward and kick goals against Richmond last year. I think he kicked 3. So he can do that role, but that would point to a run with, or at least a shutdown type of role.
Tom, you mentioned you were at training as well during the week. Nasai did come off with a limp. Is there anything in that? I mean, he's out there right now, but was that a little bit concerning?
I think that's a shock to everyone when someone leaves the track early, especially, when you're at those sort of training sessions with an interstate team and we've got a South Australian superstar, and the way he moves and the way he plays, you're just drawn to him. So it's kind of impossible not to watch him the whole time. So the way he sort of pulled up, you would have seen the vision. Didn't look great, but the club were very quick to say, bit of a groin thing, but he's trained in done some weights and things like that. And the fact that he's out here now would suggest that it was just maybe a little bit uncomfortable, and he thought it was best to rest up on a 6-day break.
Well, we saw Miles Bergman grab his hamstring last week at training,
right,
and then played and wasn't impacted by that at all. But the interesting thing about Wanganeen Miller, and I reckon this is the conundrum for all coaches when they come up against St Kilda, he is the key. Do you run with him or do you back your system? And that's the million-dollar question. I mean, I personally think you shut him out of the game, it limits St Kilda's impact, and even potentially to get the 4 points. But he is such an influential player. But you need someone that can go forward, back, and in the midfield. Does an Adelaide Footy Club have that player?
It's a good one, because I was listening during the week to Ross Lyon, and he said, Naz can have 5 goals and 40 touches and we still not lose. And you almost think he's, twiddling with it. I'm sure that's only been a small margin. He's so impactful, the way he can score. He breaks lines. Like, you would say you stop him tonight in terms of this team balance and matchups. Adelaide Crows get the win.
Minutes away from the game getting underway here at the Adelaide Oval. Very big crowd attendance, the third of 3 games today. So Gold Coast knocking off Essendon in a thriller by 9 points. Hawks had a close one as well against Port Adelaide by 3. So you wonder what's in store if we can repeat the trend. It's been a fun day of footy, and great to have you with us on ABC Local Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen for ABC Sports. It is Adelaide and St Kilda. No late changes here at the Adelaide Oval. The toss has just occurred. Alex Neil-Bullen is out there for the second time this season as Crows skipper after Jordan Dawson was injured against the Cats. How did it go? No, he got out there for the toss.
Oh, really?
Neil-Bullen. Yeah, it was him out there at Kardinia Park. How did it go down there, Steve Murphy? Welcome to the team tonight.
Yes, thank you, guys. I should say, first of all, that last weekend was horrendous in terms of weather for boundary riders, with rain all the time. Tonight it's beautiful weather, barely a drop of air in the ground at this point. So the toss is not really worth a whole lot, but for what it's worth, Callum Wilkie did win it for St Kilda, and St Kilda will kick to the northern end of Adelaide Oval.
So big game for both these clubs, sitting at 2 and 3, just outside the top 10 at the moment. But it's all about momentum in this season. They've fresh off wins in Gather Round. Can they string them together and get the job done? Now, we had a text in on 0437 774 774 where Dean says, didn't the Dockers play back-to-back games in Adelaide as well? Typical Ross having a whinge. Well, the Dockers did go home in the break between, and they won. We'll see if St Kilda can do the opposite. They stayed in Glenelg and trying to string together some wins here in the Festival State. It is Adelaide and St Kilda on ABC Sport. Tom Wilson to get us underway.
So, in the middle of the ground, De Koning up against McAndrew. McAndrew hits it down, out towards Peatling, who's got Wanganeen Miller as company. Gets a short kick away. Coming from centre half forward was Max Michaelani, but he overran it. Quick kick out of the centre from St Kilda. Drop mark from Miller for the Adelaide Crows, and he was clean. Gets it to Cook, who handballs to Peatling. Kicks past centre wing up towards Rochelle, who marks forward of wing. Plays on quickly. Long ball up towards Thilthorpe, but Callum Wilkie, he read it best. Better than probably anyone in the competition, takes the intercept mark. Left half back for the Saints.
And as predicted, Rochelle started on ball. And as you said, Ebony, Michaelani started ahead of the ball for the Crows.
Short pass to Windhager. Has a bit of time to drive it hard through the broadcast wing. Players converge 2-on-2 off the hands of Sharman out the back door. Worrell uses Miller. A clean kick. Back where it came from. Finds Neil Bullen in a paddock. Turns inboard, dancing his way through trouble. Draws two and handballs through to Cook. He can march towards the 50. Screw the kick central. And Ben Keys is on the charge. Taking the mark, 20 out, straight in front.
Tell you what, you go back about 10 seconds. That kick from Miller was absolutely outstanding. Just the composure not to blast kick it forward where Wilkie's waiting to intercept Mark. Just found a mark, just that beautiful little 30-metre kick into space, and what a terrific mark there from Ben Keys.
Even the composure by Neil Bullen to hit up Cook so he can actually find a mark. We're going to see Wilkie try and impact.
Slow start to the year, Ben Keys, but had 3 majors last week. The stutter step, the approach, and he looks back to his best. Adelaide strike first. They're up 1 straight 6. St Kilda yet to score in the opening 90 seconds here at the Adelaide Oval. It is Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco.
Just one other thing as well, just watching that first centre bounce that went forward for St Kilda, then the turnover by the Crows. I watched Rochelle. Tell you what, he read it beautifully. He's almost hedging a little bit in offence rather than defending, and then provides that outlet kick. So as we said pre-game, I'm really excited about what he's going to produce tonight in terms of his impact on the game in the midfield. A good start to the Crows. Great finish, Keys.
Clean play from Adelaide. So Michaelani's playing forward. He's got Windhager as company. So maybe a bit of ducks and drakes going on there, potentially. Hager's been a good tagger as well, and Garcia does it as well for the Saints. De Koning knocks it down towards that man Garcia, who's able to gather the footy. Got the bright pink boots on, kicks up towards left half forward. Hall leading in the race in front of Laird. He's pretty keen to not dispose of the footy out over the boundary line, and chests it over. And we'll have a boundary throw in front of the Saints bench.
Looks like, sorry, Aaron, I'm just looking at the matchups now. Michaelani's come up to the stoppage. He's now got the job by the looks of it on Wanganeen Miller.
Might be a floating tag throughout the night. Tossed into play. Shallow drop. McAndrew got there first but tried to take it clean. It slipped through his mitts. Flanders pounces. Hands it to Windhager. St Kilda towards the 50. A little bit long on his kick, and Miller reads it well on the chest.
Hot start from Miller.
I think the other thing as well, keeping Michaelani out of the centre square because he's not a natural mid, and then after the centre bounce he picks him up.
Miller the 1-2 with Worrell, and then heads up through the broadcast swing. Short drop on Taylor Walker, who was caught behind Wilkie. What a matchup that's going to be. Bit of history there, Noffy.
Absolutely, and Taylor Walker's going to have to be careful because he is known for his intercept marking, so whether you're not going to mark it, we need Taylor Walker to really compete, but Wilkie, he'd be in all-Australian form, that's for sure.
So Flanders to Hill to Sinclair to Windhager at right half back for St Kilda. Short again to Hill.
Very one-on-one at the moment defensively too, Adelaide.
Been asked to play on, goes short to Sinclair. He's also asked to play on, so he goes long down the outer side looking for Owens, brings it to the front of the pack. Marshall plays rover for St Kilda, handballs towards Boxall and goes out over the boundary line centre wing. So we'll have a throw in outer side of the ground. The Crows are leading by 6 points thanks to the 1 straight kick from Ben Keys.
I'm talking about that Michaelani matchup on Miller. It looks like Rochelle's the one that goes forward when Michaelani comes on ball to run with Wanganeen Miller.
McAndrew down to Berry, who tried to surge out of the stoppage, but a free kick for a hold going Marshall's way. Adelaide caught napping. He releases Hill, darts the kick up to right half forward. Mark taken by De Koning. Right half forward, too far out to score. He wheels around. Long, deep entry to the top of the goal square looking for Owens. He drew 3, tapped down. Gee, Ryan tried for something special. Tight line in the pocket, right in front of the scoreboard, and dribbles through a minor score. Adelaide's lead down to 5. We've played 5 minutes in the opening turn.
Miller brings it in to Laird at right half back. Going long towards Walker. Wilkie got the knockdown. At the front of the pack was Berry. His handball was sharked. Garcia grabs it, kicks inside the forward 50. The Crows have the numbers there, but De Koning, 1-on-2, takes a strong grab, and he'll have a shot 30 metres out and a slight angle to the left.
Well, I think the other thing as well is interesting when we talk about St Kilda, and they've obviously gone and paid massive money for De Koning. They've also got Rowan Marshall, who is a very, very good player in his own right in terms of ruckman and his impact on games, but it hasn't really worked at the moment. They miss Max King, but this bloke is the one that needs to step up and hit the scoreboard.
Opportunity for De Koning and the Saints to hit the front. He just sort of poked at that, and it drifted away to the left-hand side. Not a confident kick. That's 2 minor scores back-to-back for the Saints. They go to 2. Adelaide are 1 straight 6. 6 minutes gone in this first term.
Quick exit out towards the scoreboard pocket. Kick came from Laird to Worrell and heads up towards the eastern side. Off hands out the back. Running ways. Ben Keys takes a bounce through the logo. Plenty of pace as he kicks up to left half forward. Rankin caught behind Stocker. Did well on the ball drop though. Gathers. Arcs around Hill. Tried to curl his kick towards the boundary line, but Walker was never a chance of getting there. Wilkie cuts it off. What a season he's having, the North Adelaide product. Back home. Shares it with Stocker and now out wide to Wilson in defensive 50. It's Adelaide by 4. Final game of a trifecta today. Suns defeating the Bombers by 9 and the Hawks knocking off the Power by 3.
A lot of games off. Sinclair just under pressure. Handballed it to no one. Rochelle ran over the top of it. Wilson, a handball for Stocker, and pretty keen to get that out over the boundary line in the right forward pocket for Adelaide. Rochelle, very rare of him to miss a goal scoring opportunity.
Fumble, but I guess Ben Keys' ability to pressure that ball and create another 450 stoppage is a huge win for Adelaide.
Boundary throw in. McAndrew and De Koning. McAndrew knocks it down towards Rankin to Rochelle. Manages to get a kick away towards the top of the goal square. 1-on-1, Walker. Box will help with the fist away. Walker dives on top of the ball, gets it out in time. A number of Saints players around the footy, off towards Wilkie. Garcia. Last line of defence. Onto that left boot, out of D50. Is it going to come straight back in? Drop mark there from Nankervis. Laid a strong tackle on Filippo. Ball in dispute. Berry wins it. Tough inside midfielder stuff. Handball's out to Worrell, who gets it to Butts. Under a bit of pressure. Now gets it to Worrell, who sends it inside 50.
On the left and running out of room, he sends it long to Walker. Just popped out of his fingertips. Adelaide have numbers on the drop. McAndrew gets a handball out to Rankin. Spins around, tight angle, snaps. Isaac Rankin misses to the right. Gee, it almost looked like something incredible. He's got that in his back pocket, that's for sure. Adelaide by 5, 7 minutes into the opening terms. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
I don't think I've ever seen a player with goal sense like Rankin.
Yeah,
just has an uncanny knack. And this bloke Wilkie, gee whiz, he's going all right. Started this game really well.
Left half back, he took the mark up towards Mason Wood. Braden Cook got the fist in, but Wood gathered, gets it back to Flanders, who runs straight through centre wing. Up towards Liam Ryan, he's got Bond as company. Ball hits the deck. Sharman tried to knock it to him, but Bond roved it best. Off to Millerer, off to Nankervis, to Murray now. Kicks up towards centre wing. Saints have the numbers. De Koning flies across the top, drops the mark. Hill's there. The Crows are trying to keep this in for another ruck contest, but De Koning wins out, gets it to Wood. That was clean too. Sinclair all the way back to Wilkie to Sinclair at left half back.
Already 6 disposals for Wilkie.
Short pass to Bradley Hill. Darts inboard. Places his kick through the logo on the broadcast side. Garcia finding a lot of the footy. He was good against Zach Butters last week. Career high performance. He had 26 touches. He shares it out to left half forward. Flanders, a little uncertain, waits for a lead and then rewards Sharman. What happened there? Wayne Miller just stuck in the defensive goal square and didn't even track him. And it was an easy uncontested mark for Cooper Sharman.
Again, created by Callum Wilkie.
Yeah.
He's serious, just the general. And you can sense that the St Kilda players just allow him to set up, communicate, and his skills are phenomenal as well. And just a real slow build-up for the St Kilda. Now they've got a shot on goal.
Not foreign to South Australia either is Cooper Sharman. Played for Woodville West Torrens. Starts 40 out, starting right and hooking way towards the scoreboard. It will be another minor score. Saints are a bottom 5 side in the league for goal accuracy, and it's plaguing them early. It's Adelaide at the moment by 4 points. Steve Murphy downstairs.
Charlie Edwards has come on the ground for his first game for the Crows. Took a massive deep breath before he went onto the ground. Hasn't had a touch yet, but we wish him all the best.
We certainly do. Worrell brings it out of defence, goes straight down the middle, looking for Neil Bullen. Ball hits the deck. Hill gathers off to Garcia, who's been busy as well. Sinclair at the logo members' side of the ground and links up with Sharman. Just forward of centre wing. Plays on now. Kicks towards the pocket. He hits the target of Flying Ryan right on the chest. He didn't have to fly for that. That was a perfect pass. 45 metres out, right up against the paint of the boundary line in the left half-forward flank.
I'll tell you what, you can't overstate how good a kick that was from Sharman. That was outstanding, wasn't it?
Yeah, controlling the footy, Josh.
They are, absolutely they are. 49 disposals to 32 St Kilda's way.
So this will take a great kick from Flying Ryan. We know he can fly, and he can goal too. They're on the board, the Saints, and they hit the front. 139, Adelaide 117. Almost 11 minutes gone in this first term.
Absolutely. St Kilda in control. You'd say that there'd be a couple of goals up. Just the way they're actually able to win the football at ground level. They're feeding it back and using their hands, and they're able to find clear marks going inside 50.
And the other thing as well that's standing out is you talk about marks at the moment to this point in the game. They've already had 20, so they're on track to have 40 first quarter marks, which is huge in anyone's terms, but controlling the ball by kick mark. The other area of concern for Adelaide at the moment as well is they're -4 in contested ball, but that's translating into -16 uncontested possessions, which is largely due to their marks as well, but just can't get their hands on the footy when the Saints are controlling the ball.
So St Kilda by 2. Does Adelaide have a quick response? Tossed up in the middle, McAndrew. Overhead tap, but no one was there. But Wanganeen Miller, sweeping handball forward. Full stride was Darcy Wilson. Gathers, pulls the trigger from 50. What a set play from the Saints. Straight out of the middle and straight into the hill. They're up by 8. 2-3-15 plays 1-1-7. 11 played in the opening term. Josh Franco and Ebony Marinoff with you on ABC Sport.
Well, Ebony, we saw that beautiful kick inside 50 from Sharman just moments ago. I tell you what, that handball from Wanganeen Miller, it didn't hit the target, but he put it beautifully into space to allow his teammate to run onto it and have full face of goal, shoulders out, and kicked a terrific goal.
So the 12-minute mark of this first term, and you can hear the applause and support for the Dawson family. Felt right around the ground. The sad passing of Jordan Dawson's brother Jared. Our thoughts are with them and the Adelaide Football Club. Rowan Marshall gets the clearance from the centre bounce. Rory Laird's under pressure as it goes inside the forward 50, but he does well to get the quick kick away. But an intercept mark from Filippo.
Centre bounce clearance is 4-zip St Kilda's way.
Dangerous ball across ground towards Hill, and Max Michaelani read it best. He got a hand in there. Gathered the footy, goes to Zach Taylor, who refused to handball with his left hand and turned it over. Works its way back to Wilkie. He's brought his own footy today, and he hits Brad Hill just inside the boundary line in front of the Crows bench. St Kilda having a run on here, kicked the last 2 goals. They lead it by 8 points.
Through the broadcast wing go the Saints. Marshall gets the mark now and releases Sinclair. Finishes the chain to Wilson. It's a bullet pass, hot towards the 50. Just a bit too much for Boxall. Spills out towards the Crows. Bond gets the handball to Keys. Now out wide, it tumbles in the path of Worrell. Bit of time to shoot the handball over the top. Rochelli's got some time to work with near the Bashir stand. Turns on the dime. Pulls his kick, trying to get it to Thilthorpe. Again, cutting back. Jack Silvani. The Saints have done a good job of really getting in front of Adelaide's forwards who are leading out tonight. And as a result, they're up by 8 points.
The other thing they've done is their pressure's actually really good around the scramble, and Adelaide making uncharacteristic handball errors as well. So just not hitting targets, putting pressure on the next player, just not working for them at the moment.
McAndrew and Marshall. Big job tonight for McAndrew up against the 2 big ruckmen. Gathered cleanly out of defence by St Kilda, but that is dropped there by Nasiah Wanganeen Miller, but it's going to be a free kick going against Charlie Edwards. That's his first official stat in AFL footy, but this is only Wanganeen Miller's second touch, so the job's working for Max Michaelani, but it's the other players in Sinclair. Brad Hill and Cal Wilkie have brought their own footy. Sinclair, that's his 11th touch. Handballs to space over to Hill. Well gathered there by Wilson. Very clean. Handballs wide to Mason Wood. Lowers the eyes. That's a tough ball there for Higgins. Working hard is Laird. Knocked forward for St Kilda. Back towards Mason Wood there at left half forward. Higgins now handballs it off to Butler. Dangerous ball towards Flying Ryan, who flies but runs straight under it. Bond gathers in front of Sharman. Fakes the handball towards Murray. Off to Rochelle, who takes it on the bounce, kicks it through the middle of the ground to find Pedler.
This might be end-to-end here for the Crows. Pedler gives it to Edwards, who took an eternity to move the footy. Mosdium Ebony on debut. He just went for a stroll through the centre square to take in the moment and is mowed down. Darcy Wilson out of nowhere gets him. That's a rough way to start your career.
2 frees against Aaron.
Wilson to Windhager into the scoreboard pocket. Go the Saints, and a fly across from Bond to cut it off. He's in the left back pocket.
It's almost welcome to AFL in terms of the speed of the game.
Here's the grind. Short pass to Worrell, and across defensive 50 they go. Laird, and now the right half back. Mark taken by Murray. Gee, gives it a lot. Hard kick towards the broadcast wing. Hill flies. Fist came late from Pedler. Can't keep it in. Tries his best to at least showcase some intent. Umpire signalled, originally it looked like he was going to give it to St Kilda. Was a little worried there, but it will be a boundary throw-in. So the Saints at the moment by 8. We are currently 16 minutes into the opening term on ABC Sport.
Boundary throw-in. Taylor Walker's doing some ruck work against Marshall, who knocks it down. Flanders had Peatling for company. Here goes Edwards now. Did well. Stepped inside. First touch with a handball to Taylor Walker. Goes inside the forward 50. Kicks it to Wilkie, though, who handballed it straight to Pedler with the intercept touch. But he had some options. It might be a free kick downfield.
Pedler pushed in the back just prior to that contest, I would have thought. But looks like Ben Keys is running for the football.
So the umpires are pointing.
Free after disposal, I think.
Controlling umpire wanted it to go from where the incident happened, and now they've moved it, as you touched on, Noffy, to Ben Keys in the pocket.
So Philthorpe's the one who's going to get it. Go, Noffy.
I think Philthorpe was actually just closest to where the ball had actually been kicked. So umpire Ben Keys a little bit greedy there for his second, but now Riley will take the kick on the boundary. So tight angle.
Yeah, right forward pocket. They'll take his best on his left with a snap, but we've seen him do it already this year. He's kicked the belly of the ball. Still going to be an opportunity if they can keep it in. That was a mark taken deep in defence. Looks like it's Boxall out there.
Just feel it's not working for Adelaide at the moment, is it? They seem to be under siege, under pressure with almost every possession they get.
Boxall long kick, exiting defensive 50, and a couple of fists come in to knock it into the stands. Poor Riley Philthorpe has been dealing with a difficult back the last few weeks, and Darcy Fogarty's is so bad he's not there, so Riley's having to play. He kicked 1 goal 4 in gather round. And that shot was very uncharacteristic of him. It was nowhere near the goal face. Just trying to shoulder the load right now for the key forwards. Tossed in, tapped down by Maley. Gets it towards Peatling for the Crows. Then coming back towards Finbar. He puts his head over it. Hager's tracking him. Tackle laid. Impacted the disposal. It was a turnover. Wilkie put his head over it and then collapsed in the tackle of Walker. Ball up. We're inside 50 now for the Crows. 45 out left forward pocket. Saints currently by 8. Tossed up. Marshall takes it out of the ruck. Strong. Hands it to Flanders in a phone box. Threaded the needle. Got it out. Wanganeen Miller of the fancy footwork. Running out of room though on the boundary line. Hurries his kick. Turns it over. Laird at left half forward. Uses Bond. The gorgeous sidestep into the 50. Only finds Flanders. Was it touched though? He panics as the umpire doesn't blow the whistle. Drops the footy. Berry lays the tackle. Saints get another clearing kick that rolls to the broadcast wing.
Look at big Jordan Butts go. He's on his own at centre wing. Got some nice help with Bond, who's started very well. And he kicks up. Oh, Keys drops a sitter. Don't see that too often. And St Kilda get the turnover first through Sinclair. They're moving it by hands to Hall. Now Sinclair kicks inside the forward 50. They've got numbers. Higgins all by himself marks. 35 out in a 45-degree angle at left half forward.
And that's the modern game, isn't it? You turn the ball over, they make you pay the opposition, as St Kilda did on that occasion. Who was the poor handball from?
It was a drop mark.
Drop mark for Ben Keys,
Ben Keys, the drop mark, I beg your pardon. And, you turn the footy over, particularly, higher up the ground. It comes back with interest, as it did on that occasion.
And Bond was actually the one that kicked. So his opponent was able to travel back to goal
And Higgins has played on, as you're speaking there, Noffy, and snapped it around the body, and he's kicked it. So 3 in a row for the Saints. Got engaged earlier this week after telling us all how much he hated Adelaide.
I did laugh at that. That shook me. But heading back to the centre bounce here, Mick Andrews actually been able to get advantage on this centre bounce, but St Kilda are reading and absorbing the pressure and getting those hands out. They've won every centre bounce bar one. They're just gaining all territory, and just even from that goal, another ground ball win off the Ben Keys mark, and they're able to counteract and get a clear mark inside 50 with no oppo as Bond got caught out of place.
Yeah, and just to reinforce that too, Ebony, the clearances at the moment are 8-3. That's everywhere. Centre bounce plus around the ground. The contested ball -7, getting smashed at uncontested possessions inside 50s 10-8. So they're under siege at the moment, the Crows.
So St Kilda 3-3-21, Adelaide 1-1-7.
Marshall out of the ruck, down to Garcia. Another clearance for St Kilda. Flanders outside of the boot, bounces fortuitously. Filippo barges away from a couple, blazes towards goal from 40, missing to the right. St Kilda's inaccuracy has been shocking. 3-4-22, Adelaide 1-1-7. Inside 50 count going their way by 3, but just haven't been able to cash in as we quickly see them move, or the Crows rather, move it to the eastern side.
Yeah, Worrell to Millerer all the way to centre half back, but the best spot was Wilkie, goes 1-2 with Sinclair.
He's given Tex the run around at the moment, Wilkie.
He certainly is. That's possession number 9. Sinclair's got 14 already. So Silvani just kicked it in the middle of the ground. Just a bit of miscommunication there. Finbar Maley handballed it off towards Taylor. Gets it to Laird. Kicks up towards Pedler, who marks it right half forward. Just inside the forward 50.
In fairness to Tex, though, the delivery hasn't been outstanding, and Wilkie reads the play so well. And if they blast the ball forward, then he's the player that gets involved.
We know that Luke Pedler can roost him, so he's confident here that he can make the journey at the very least. Good side for a left footer. And he runs around, uses everything, and he's hit it beautifully, but just pulled it away to the right. So after a run of scores there, 5 straight scores to the Saints, Adelaide get one back, but it's just a minor score. They're 1-2-8, St Kilda 3-4-22, 22 minutes gone in this first term.
You probably put their start in the bucket of another poor start for the Crows, don't you?
100%.
Yeah.
Saints straight up the middle. Good kick. It was a little dicey one to Silvani. He had Taylor right next to him, but took the mark and then releases Hunter Clark running by. Straight line drive towards the 50. Sharman was his target. Fist comes in from Bond. Cummings there to mop it up. Uses Worrell and then Millerer. Nice chain for the Crows. Bond pulls the kick. Hits Peatling at the defensive edge, broadcast side. Shares it out towards the benches. Laird has some time. Goes for a trot. And sets it up to right half forward. Walker 1-on-1 again, beaten by Wilkie. Walker kind of had eyes for the foot. He didn't go for the body contact, and the strength of Callum to get that intercept mark as they now switch through defensive 50. Mark taken by Stocker and then out wide to Wanganeen Millerer.
There would have had to be conversations around Wilkie's form. He's already up to the 12 touches. He has 5 marks off kick. So his impact has been profound, and obviously with the Sinclair with the 5 touches, but those two boys co-captaining the side this year, and they've both actually started the season tremendously, as well as Sinclair.
And this is where I'd like to see Adelaide go back to a bit more kick mark. Blasting it forward isn't working for them. As you said, Sinclair's destroying Adelaide back there.
So Marshall knocked that down. Berry gathered, and Wanganeen Millerer wrapped him up straight away. Wilkie had 15 marks against Port last week. So,
well, what's he had now? 15. He's on track for a 60-touch game.
So that's Sinclair's had 15.
Yeah.
12 for Wilkie.
Oh, I beg your pardon, 12.
So Neil Bullen gets the ball out to Edwards. Kicks up towards right half forward. A 2-on-1 with Ben Keys. Just couldn't complete the mark. So Wanganeen Millerer waxes there with Hunter Clark. He gets a 3rd touch here. Hairballs to Sinclair. That's possession number 16 for Sinclair. Over the top to Flanders. Outer side of the ground on the wing. Kicks long up towards right half forward. Hits the chest of Hall. They're using it so well, St Kilda. And Flying Ryan hits him on the chest. Up in front of the scoreboard in the pocket. It's going to take a tough kick, but he did it from the other side of the ground only 5 minutes ago.
And just looking at St Kilda's ball movement, Adelaide can't slow them down in that sort of middle part of the ground. As soon as they get speed on the ball, they get good looks ahead of the ball as they did on that occasion. And I tell you what, they turn it over at half back, the Saints. They look really dangerous.
So Liam Ryan has already kicked one tonight. Take a kick of 35 metres right up against the paint, and he's found Higgins all alone 15 metres out from goal. That's a coach killer, Josh.
Yeah.
That's just genuine, not even paying
engaged.
attention.
No.
Like just all loss of interest in terms of what was actually going on. Like,
they look really rattled at the moment, the Crows. They've been really poor by hand. They keep turning the footy over, or they're not hitting their targets with their handball. They're not dealing with the pressure of St Kilda. And at the moment, they're all at sea. They're blasting it forward where Wilkie's having an influence. So
Higgins runs around on his left foot this time. He can do it both sides of the body, and he's got a double back-to-back goals for Jack Higgins. And St Kilda, what a hot start. 4-4-28, 1-2-8 Adelaide, 25 minutes gone first term.
Well, the difference of the Adelaide ball movement, when they're kicking, St Kilda are able to come across, impact, get a spoil, and then go back, in play forward half footy. And what's happening with St Kilda, they're playing 1v1, and their like forwards are so far in front that it's not even a 1v1. They're just in so much space, the St Kilda forward line, because their transition has been so slick.
No,
so they're not even having to compete.
Yeah. And when you got speed on the ball, you got one-on-one, you got space, it's really difficult. Well, it's impossible to defend. And actually, just looking at the boundary, I'm seeing one of the Crows officials, he's got the boxing glove up, so I think it's time to fight, Adelaide.
We've seen that a lot this year.
We have.
It's not really worth it in terms of the secrecy behind the emoji. Everyone knows what that means, and it's Adelaide's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Milera has, from the Adelaide Crows, has jumped in the midfield. So fans have been calling for this. So he's at this centre bounce. I reckon it's one of the first for Wayne Milera in the centre bounce.
So Wayne Miller on ball, but Nasai's not there, his distant cousin, which is a shame. And hopefully they match up at some point. Tossed into the air after a 666 warning, and McAndrew takes it out of the ruck, swings the handball forward to Zach Taylor, who surges through three and stops and props and places his kick off a step towards the 50. Bounces in a hole. Carroll gets there for the Saints. Screws it across the body back where it came from, out to the broadcast wing. Wood's the target, knocked away. Picked up behind. Rochelle for the Crows. Shares it wide to Worrell. Again sends it towards the 50 for Adelaide. 2-on-2. Thilthorpe entangled with Silvani. Wilkie gets rid of Walker and almost broke his ankles as he thrust him into the front row. He was so far in terms of his strength. Takes the intercept mark. Cal Wilkie's had 13 touches for the term, and they now move it through a defensive 50. The Saints, they're up by 20.
Sinclair with possession number 17. Over the top to Darcy Wilson. Flanders has been busy as well, running down that outer wing. Long up towards Marshall, who gets a free kick for a hold. That's against Jordan Butts. Plays on quickly, kicks inside the forward 50 to the goal kicker in Higgins. Can he keep it in? He does. Up towards Nasai Wangani Millera. Flying shot on goal. Hugh Bond, last line of defence, takes it on the goal line. He plays on quickly to Worrell at right half back.
Take a breath. Think your way through it, and a bit more method in the ball movement.
So that's the advice for the Crows. Peatling goes to Nick Murray at centre half back.
This isn't working, this play. The play on the ball's live and the blasting it forward.
Up long towards Thilthorpe, 2-on-1. Got Wilkie as company, did well to gather the footy, but had no one to handball it to. Went straight to Darcy Wilson. Wood goes to Hunter Clark. He's got some run to Flanders. He's doing it on both sides of the ground, is Flanders. This is possession number 10, up towards Garcia, centre of wing.
Slows things down now as we close in on quarter time, so the Saints might get the last crack here, and they're up by 20. Garcia leans back, sets it up 45 from home. Marshall's there. Wrestling with Butts off hands. Front square. Hall throws his body in. Sliding into the footy. Berry wraps him up. Pops out. Butts gets it to Peatling. Shovels a handball tunnel towards centre wing. Picked up clean by Pedler in traffic. Kicks flirting with the boundary line, but he gets it to Walker. He's got to go. Spots a target he likes in the corridor. Central kick to Taylor, who's cleaned up. Coming back with the flight by Wilson. Didn't look at the footy. Free kick. They'll take the advantage or they can't, and this is going to cost them. Yeah. Umpire will bring it back and the clock will run down.
That was actually smart by Wilson.
Oh, was it ever? Because Josh Rochelle was out. Milera could have taken the advantage, but that's...
So Adelaide had the run into 50, and instead now Zach Taylor's going to have to take a set shot from inside the centre square.
Yeah, I don't know if Wilson had the game awareness, but it worked out pretty well for the Saints, didn't it?
Well, it rattled Milera because he wasn't sure whether he would play on. But that's what the pressure's done with Adelaide Crows. Even then, Milera didn't want to take the game on.
Zach Taylor with the Hail Mary. It's a low wobbling torpedo and does not have the distance. It will fall short. And Adelaide are 1-5 at quarter time. And the St Kilda again have a hot start here at the Adelaide Oval after getting or bursting out of the gates last week against the Power. 4-4-28 they lead. Adelaide 1-8. Goal scorers at the first change, 2 to Jack Higgins, singles to Wilson and Ryan. And Ben Keys is the solitary goal scorer for the Adelaide Crows. On the text line, 0437 774 774. A lot of Dockers fans getting in touch about Ross Lyon complaining about their residency in South Australia as they stay at the Bay this week. A few mentioning that, yes, Fremantle has done it in the past. They didn't do it last year, Jeff, but they did do it in 2024. They lost both games, and they did it in 2023 when they went 1-1. So you'd think, in theory, Saints win tonight. They're the best, I guess, visiting team over a fortnight in Adelaide. They can go 2-0. And Rex in Port Macquarie echoing those sentiments, saying that Ross is a sook, and the Dockers have been doing it for the last 3 years. Loving the coverage. Thank you for your text, Rex, as well. Shout out as well to one of our unnamed listeners who wanted to throw Brodie Smith some credit. Was playing in the Adelaide Footy League today for the West Coast Hawks. Had a pretty good performance by the sounds of things. They did get smashed, unfortunately, against Western United. It was 155-35, but sounds like Brodie had a good game playing on ball, so shout out to him, who's continuing his footy after retiring. And just quickly as well, before we take a short break here on ABC Sport, some really sad news coming out of Ascot Vale from the ABC newsroom at the moment. So a person has died after a car mounted a curb and hit 2 people outside the Melbourne Showgrounds in the city's northwest. Second person has been taken to hospital as well with life-threatening injuries, and a man has been arrested over the incident and will be interviewed by police. This is near the Supernova Comic-Con, which is happening as a part of a 2-day event near the Showgrounds. So sad news there that there's been a very serious incident, and a person has died after a car mounted a curb, and a man has been arrested over that. If you want more information, head to abc.net.au for all your latest news from the ABC newsroom. St Kilda by 20 points here at the Adelaide Oval as we wrap up what's been a really enthralling day of footy. The Suns 9-point winners over the Bombers. The Hawks knocked off the Power by 3 points. Can we make it 3 from 3 in terms of thrillers? We'll find out on ABC Local Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen. This is Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
You meet the most interesting people on Sunday morning.
I tell you what, I'd kill for some clean air and a good coffee over here. And there's no generic latte over here.
Come home straight away, please. Join the rest of Australia right here on Sunday morning.
Australia All Over on ABC Radio.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Finds Neil Bullen in a paddock, turns inboard, dancing his way through trouble, draws 2, and handballs through to Cook. He can march towards the 50, screw the kick central, and Ben Keys is on the charge. Taking the mark, 20 out, straight in front. Slow start to the year, Ben Keys, but had 3 majors last week. The stutter step, the approach, and he looks back to his best.
Links up with Sharman, just forward of centre wing. Plays on now, kicks towards the pocket. He hits the target of Flying Ryan. Right on the chest. He didn't have to fly for that. That was a perfect pass. So this will take a great kick from Flying Ryan. We know he can fly, and he can goal too. They're on the board, the Saints.
Adelaide have a quick response. Tossed up in the middle, McAndrew. Overhead tap, but no one was there. But Wanganeen Miller sweeping handball forward. Full stride was Darcy Wilson. Gathers, pulls the trigger from 50. What a set play from the Saints. Straight out of the middle and straight into the hill.
So the 12-minute mark of this first term, and you can hear the applause and support for the Dawson family. Felt right around the ground. The sad passing of Jordan Dawson's brother Jared. Our thoughts are with them and the Adelaide Football Club. So Liam Ryan already kicked one tonight. Take a kick of 35 metres right up against the paint, and he's found Higgins all alone 15 metres out from goal. That's a coach killer, Josh.
Yeah. That's just genuine, not paying
engaged.
attention yet. No. Yeah, just all loss of interest in terms of what was actually going on.
They look really rattled at the moment, the Crows. They're not dealing with the pressure of St Kilda.
Higgins runs around on his left foot this time. He can do it both sides of the body, and he's got a double back-to-back goals for Jack Higgins. And St Kilda, what a hot start.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
The master coach Ross Lyon smelled blood in the water, and there was never a chance that they were going to let Adelaide nap in the first quarter. They caught them, and they're up 20 points at the first change. 4-4-28, Adelaide 1-2-8. At quarter time here at the Adelaide Oval as we wrap up your trifecta of footy on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans and Tom Wilson calling the action. Your experts to break down the opening term. The former AFLW Best and Fairest winner Ebony Marinoff and the 4-time Showdown medalist Josh Franco.
Oh, just a really hot start from St Kilda. We'd probably sit here and say throughout the 10-minute mark you'd think that St Kilda would have been further in front, but they just weren't able to execute their goals. But they had all momentum, and what impressed me most was their ability to win the back half footy and just transition so slickly to their forwards. I mean, Nick Murray, Liam Ryan would have had 10 metres in front of him. And just the way that they worked it out. I mean, Sinclair had 17 disposals for that quarter. But 14 uncontested.
Yeah. And he kicks the ball so well as well. He's running at 88% kicking efficiency, which is outstanding. But you're right, 36 more disposals. They're getting smashed around the clearance, particularly centre bounce Adelaide. And it's almost like this movie we've seen before. St Kilda started really well against Port Adelaide last week. Their first quarter was outstanding. And this has been the story of Adelaide's year to date. Their first quarters have been horrific. They've really struggled with St Kilda's pressure. Now they've got to start turning their game on and getting back in this contest.
So 1-5 in first terms, Adelaide. The Saints by 20 points. McAndrew down looking for a Shelley. Had 4 closing in on him. Got the handball out to Peatling. Whistle coming back. It wasn't an actual disposal. Rochelli's got caught for a crow throw again.
Oh, not the start you wanted for Adelaide Crows, but another win for St Kilda.
Oh, yeah. Tom De Koning has it in the centre square, and yeah, if there's anything to go by their track record, this game is far from over, given the Saints do fade out after half-time. Nasai Wanganeen-Millerer received the footy, drove it into the 50, but only straight to Lockie McAndrew. Cuts it off, places his kick wide to Wayne Millerer. He's in the right back pocket for Adelaide at the moment. Second term on ABC Sport, it is Adelaide and St Kilda.
He goes to Butts. Wasn't the required journey, so he kicks it out towards the wing. That's a 2-on-1, not a good option. Wood took the mark. Handled it off quickly, kicks inside the forward 50 for Higgins. Marks on his chest, left half forward's going to take a kick of 50.
Tell you what, their kicking tonight has been unbelievable, hasn't it?
He's played on. He's going to set this one up to the top of the goal square. Flying was Sharman. Roving is Wanganeen-Millerer. Handballs it off to Garcia. Felt the pressure. Clean from Marshall to Boxall. Rankin got a hand in there to Koning. To Michito Owens, who kicks the banana. And kicks the goal. Another hot start from the Saints in the second term. Margins now out to 26 points. 5-4-34. Adelaide 1-2-8. Just a minute and a half gone.
Well, Owens was just all by himself there. Adelaide collapsed the contest. A little bit of a fumble by Rankin, but De Koning just to keep that ball alive. And what a slick handball to Owens, who was just sitting in the forward 50 all alone and a snap-on goal. That's as easy as it gets. You know how many times you practice them at training? That's just golden for a forward.
And I keep saying, and I know it's only early stages of the second quarter, but the signs aren't good for Adelaide. They look all at sea. Kicking efficiency, particularly going inside forward 50 for the Saints, was outstanding, as highlighted by that mark to Higgins. But the other thing as well is they've started Michael Annie on the bench, so it seems like they've dropped the Millerer tag, but it's just not happening for Adelaide at the minute.
Saints by a game high 26 points. McAndrew double tap down. Charlie Edwards brushes off a tackle. This is a soaring kick into the 50 and hits Riley Thilthorpe at the top of the goal square. That's what they want to see from the debutant. Set shot to come for the Crows.
Well, it's interesting. He was going for the Sunday picnic, wasn't he, for his first disposal and got mowed down and got absolutely hammered by the St Kilda defender. But on that occasion, he showed great composure with the ball, really strong in the tackle, and that inside 50 kick was advantage of Thilthorpe. But I'll tell you what, Adelaide, understatement, but they need this just to settle everything down.
Straight in front, Riley Thilthorpe cashes in. Adelaide get one back. Margin back to the quarter-time deficit. It is St Kilda by 20 points. 5-4-34 plays 2-2-14. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco.
Well, Josh, we've spoken about the centre bounce, and in football, centre bounce dominance and metres gain is so crucial, and that is just that's why you want to win. That's Riley Thilthorpe in a 1v1. Like that's what they want as key forwards. Like he's battling it out with Silvani. Like that's just a tremendous centre bounce clearance win, and probably the second for the game. But St Kilda have been on top, and if they want to get back in this game, they need to start winning the ball in the centre bounce.
So St Kilda up by 20 points. Goal apiece in this term. It was 4-4-28 and 1-2-8, which was the same score as last week against Port Adelaide for all the numerologists out there. McAndrew straight down to Edwards again. Bit of deja vu this time too with the clearance up towards Thilthorpe. Brought to ground. Sinclair there is going in. Taylor. Good tackle there from Alex Neil-Bullen on Boxall, but no prior opportunity. We'll have a ball up 30 metres from the Crows' goal directly in front.
Tossed into the air. Marshall takes it out of the ruck, tackled by Walker, dropped it. Peatling tried to go in there, pinballed off his shins, lays the tackle, and we'll get a ball up as Windhager gets to his feet. We'll try one more time. Marshall down again, Garcia. Not a lot of room to work with. Gives it away. Hands it straight to Edwards, who releases Rankin off balance. Tight angle. It's his pocket, but he can't finish. It is out on the full free kick. St Kilda left back pocket. They're up by 20 points on ABC Sport.
Wanganeen Miller takes the free kick.
What have you made of the Rankin roll tonight so far, Noffy?
I was just looking at the stats there. Just only the 4 touches for the game. I just love to see him just be injected in the as a midfielder for the full quarter and see what he's capable of doing. But I guess you've got to keep playing the team role, and unfortunately he's just not in form.
So some swift ball movement there from St Kilda, and it found the way towards Hill, but it was a last touch free kick against. He tried to keep it in, but the umpire said that was deliberate. Flying at that one was Sinclair. There's a holding on free kick going the way of Thilthorpe. Silvani not sure about that. Quick kick inside the forward 50, looking for Taylor Walker. Up towards Marshall, got the spoil in. Roved by Zach Taylor, but he pulled it around too far to the left. Minus score. Adelaide 2-3-15, St Kilda 5-4-34, 5.5 gone in the second term.
What's killing the Adelaide Crows is because St Kilda are so, they're defensively set up so well. They've got to be able to stay calm. They're just trying to kick the ball so quickly, and St Kilda are able to set up.
Lower the eyes. That's the old adage, isn't it, Noffy? Wilkie gets the exiting kick and off hands. Wilson clean on the bounce. Links up with Hall. Kept running and no one really tracked him. Everybody surged in. And now a 100-metre sprint comes. Wilson kicks into the pocket and Butler's backtracking to take the mark. Gee, that was an excellent surge from the young man. And Adelaide, again, defensively not switched on.
Well, I think it was Hall with that forward handball. That just opened up the whole ground, didn't it?
It was in the middle of the corridor, Josh.
Yeah.
It was just central. And, again, another kick inside forward 50. Adelaide Crows can't defend those sort of kicks.
Yeah, and that's where they look vulnerable at the moment, even in the first quarter when there's speed on the ball.
Butler opens the angle, snaps, and puts it through. Butler's first of the season. He needed it. He's had a rough start to his campaign with the Saints. Stuck in the VFL and then goalless in his first 2 games. But he's on the board finally in 2026. St Kilda up by 25 points. 6-4-40. Adelaide 2-3-15, 6 played. Second term on ABC Sport.
And I mean, it goes back to what you said in that first quarter when there's speed on the ball through the middle of the ground and you've got space inside your forward 50. It is actually almost impossible to defend, particularly if you get a good kick, as they did on that occasion, the Saints, and a good connect to Butler. But they just look really vulnerable when they turn it over at half-back at the moment, the Crows.
And just no pressure on the ball from, whether that's the Adelaide midfielders to allow the Adelaide Crows defenders to have half a chance. Like, it's actually, on the midfielders and up the ground to put some pressure on the ball so they're not elite kicks going inside 50.
Back in the middle of the ground, the double tap there from McAndrew down to Peatling up towards centre half forward. Well gathered there by Rankin, managed to get a kick away. Wilkie and Walker are there, but Finbar Maley gathered to Peatling, to Neil Bullen, off to Edwards. Snap from 45 metres out, up towards the goal square, coming back with the flight. Couldn't mark it. Wilkie goes to ground. Ball in dispute, and the Crows will be happy to keep this one in there if they can. Bit of forward pressure, but the handball works its way back to Sinclair. A sweeping one out towards Carroll, and Neil Bullen takes it out over the boundary line. 40 away from Adelaide's goal in the left forward pocket. The Crows at home trail by 25 points.
Even then, Adelaide Crows allowing St Kilda to get hands on that booty and actually exit the ball. I know it's another stoppage, but just no pressure from the Adelaide Crows.
Just the 4 touches for Neil Bullen as well, playing the role of skipper tonight. Tossed in. McAndrew tries to tap it down. He was facing the drop of the ball, and DeConing really wasn't, as he turned and kind of wrapped him up. Free kick, though, is going the way of Isaac Rankin, I believe. So at the backdrop, Brad Hill had a bit of his Guernsey.
Well, that's what Rankin does to you at stoppages. He gets on the move, he draws free kicks. They look to hand over with their direct opponent, as St Kilda did on that occasion, and just drew the free kick. He just does it by just his movement at stoppage and how dangerous he is.
Really not sure what was in that, Noffy. So Hugo Garcia was running with him, and there was nothing in it. I thought there was an infringement in the ruck contest, but Isaac Rankin's got away with one here. Been handed an opportunity. Isaac crosses the paint of 50. Rankin starts right and swings it back. Nails the shot from 45. Adelaide need all the help they can get. Margin down to 19. St Kilda 6-4-40. Crows 3-3-21. 9 played. Second term It's Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco.
I'm watching the footage back and I actually, can't tell listeners what that goal was for, but in terms of that kick and the importance of Rankin to be able to execute that, certainly needed that one and, kind of brings the margin back to the 19 points. And like we touched on, Aaron, this game is certainly not over by all means, but yeah, that's an interesting free kick. I thought maybe the footy gods would have sent that into a behind.
Well, a pretty good little patch here for Adelaide as well, and you touched on the centre bounce clearances this quarter were 3-1, so they're getting their hands on the footy, they're getting field position off the back of the centre bounce wins.
Back in the middle of the ground, McAndrew down towards Peatling. In front of him is Garcia. He's wrapped up in a tackle, and they all dive on top. That was a real gift for Adelaide. I did a bit of lip reading. I saw Brad Hill and he asked the umpire, why are you paying that? No response. Clearance going the way of St Kilda. Jack Carroll up towards centre half forward. Well roved there by Sharman. Tried to work with Filippo, who runs onto it. He strides towards centre half forward. He wasn't really going for Garcia there, but found him at centre half forward. Still 55 from goal. Handballs it off. Carroll sweeps past. A high left foot kick into the left forward pocket. Flying there was Mason Wood, and it's going to trickle out over the boundary line in front of Braden Cook for the Crows. Left forward pocket for St Kilda. They lead by 19 points, 11 minutes gone in the second term.
Well, Charlie Edwards, he had a mare of the first quarter, giving away 2 frees against, but certainly in the pace of the game now, he's had 4 disposals, the most for Adelaide Crows this quarter.
Saints by 19, tossed in. Owen's doing the ruck work against McAndrew and 1, and the crumbing as well. Hands it out wide, tumbling kick from Wilson as he tried to trickle it past Murray, but it's not through for a minor score on the left, and Saints lead boosts back up to 20 points. 6-5-41 plays 3-3-21. Shout out to Richard from Geelong on the text line who says, do professional athletes really need a boxing glove to tell them to fight back?
It's a good call. Kick out towards the wing. Marshall dropped the mark he should have taken for St Kilda. Darcy Wilson tried to soccer it on his hands and knees with Peatling. Gets it to Berry at right half back, who hits Taylor Walker for his first touch. Or it might not be his first, but certainly one of the few he's had. Handballs it across to Braden Cook, who takes 2 bounces on the wing up towards Pedler. Fists it away out over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in right in front of the scoreboard at Adelaide Oval.
I mean, it's not a mark, but you take that. It's a forward 50 stoppage. We go back to the Isaac Rankin free kick. You're putting St Kilda under a bit more pressure to have to defend.
So boundary throw in. Transition there for Adelaide. Trailing by 20 points, trying to work their way back into this game. Boundary throw in, Marshall down to Sinclair. Kicks towards centre half back. Filippo's there with Cumming. Kicks it through the middle of the ground. Waiting for it was Miller in the centre circle for Adelaide. And he's going to send it back through. Berry, dangerous ball. Had 2 bites of the cherry. Ryan chases after him. Handballs to Butts. Over the top towards Murray at right half forward. Goes inside the forward 50. Taylor Walker, 1 hand, 2 hands. 3 bites of the cherry and marks 15 metres out directly in front. He needed that.
He definitely did, Tom. You would say that he's lowered his colours to this point in the game to Wilkie, who's been hugely influential for St Kilda, but a terrific mark there. And that's, I guess, how you make Callum Wilkie pay, is you take contested marks and give an aerial presence, which Tex did on that occasion.
He's clearly frustrated, Taylor Walker.
Yep.
Takes the mark, pushes Wilkie in the chest. Now he can finish it off and give Adelaide back-to-back goals for the first time this evening. Walker from 20 out, pumps it through the middle. He's fired up. Adelaide get another. Tex gets his first. 4-3-27. Margin back to 14 points. St Kilda 6-5-41. 13 and a half gone in this second term.
You feel like Adelaide Crows have had the momentum or the better half of this second quarter, and going back to that match-up in Wilkie and Walker, he gave him a bath in the first quarter, and I'm sure there would have been conversation around that. And you know, if you're Taylor Walker, but you just got to compete. You got to put yourself in front and make him defend you, as good as he has been. But Taylor Walker, you just need to compete and half those contests, because Wilkie had a massive say in that first quarter, but only with 1 disposal to his name for the second.
You let Callum Wilkie know all about it, Tex. Bit of biff. It's going to be a good matchup across the night. St Kilda by 14. Voices of Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco on ABC Sport. Tossed into the air. Tapped down by Maley. Uses Peatling And he arches his way away from the centre of the ground. Kicks up towards the 50. Walker's the target again. Little high, though, for him. Thilthorpe's waiting behind. Tackled by Silvani. Ball pops out. They collapse into it. And we'll get a ball up 40 out from home for the Crows.
Centre bounce clearances this quarter 4-1 in favour of Adelaide. Again, another stoppage clearance for Adelaide.
Same old story for the Crows, but it has resulted in a few wins. St Kilda still up here, out of the stoppage, towed out of there by Pedler, who had a flying shot. It's right across the face, trickles towards the boundary line and just pitched right before the paint. Neil Bullen sensed the urgency and nearly got there, and then just at the last moment took its final roll over.
And going back to the centre bounce wins for Adelaide, they've all been coming out the front of the stoppage and putting the Saints defenders under the pump.
Boundary throw in 25 out, Adelaide's 50. Marshall edges out Maley, gets the handball as well. Trying to get it to Boxall, who fumbled. In amongst it is Filippo. Handball shoots out wide. Rochelle, 30 out, has a quick snap. Walker's got 2 to beat, brought it down, puts his head over it, gets it to Neil Bourne. The tumbler across the goal face. Didn't really get the angle. Pedler commits, as does Wood. And Pedler gets him high. Free kick, St Kilda, right in front of the behind line. It was dicey areas, and the Saints get out of jail.
Dived on that one.
Rochelle, before that, he had someone he could have handballed, but just wanted to take the snap.
I know the crowd booing at the moment for the umpire, but that was definitely there, a little bit reckless there. I think it was from Keys in the end.
Yeah, Keys had his
he got him into full Nelson, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He knew.
A bit obvious. So boundary throw in, right half forward for Adelaide from that kick in. Marshall just takes it out of the ruck against Maley. Squib kick forward. Sharman gathers. Went to get the handball to Filippo, but Berry got a hand in there. Filippo goes again. Back to Nasiah, Wanganeen, Miller. Dangerous kick, but a beauty to Windhager. Mark centre wing, handballs it off. They're running forward here, St Kilda. Another opportunity, hits the target on the chest, plays on quickly, up into the forward line. Look at that transition. That is just brilliant stuff. And on the end of it, looks like it's Owens who's going to take a mark 40 metres out right half forward.
And what I will say, when there's debate around is Wanganeen Miller worth his $2 million, is it?
Yeah.
That's why he's worth his $2 million. That kick there, not many players in Australia could hit that kick in the middle of the ground. And again, to have the capacity, the ability to do that opens up the whole ground. And, once again, there's speed on the ball and it's really difficult to defend.
Yeah, Butler to Boxall to Owens. Already got a goal this quarter from 40 out. This time a drop punt. Just the way to the right-hand side, minus score. So couldn't complete the perfect play started by Wanganeen Miller. St Kilda 6-6-42. Adelaide a 4-3-27 as the Crows bring it out.
Rory Laird out of the back pocket. Big fly from Maley. Just couldn't get both hands on it. Slipped out. Coming through, though, front and square, Nankervis uses Berry. Hands up to left half forward for Rochelle. Stocker was all over him and gets the fist in. Finbar with the flight. The Moose with some wings.
One thing you know what you're going to get with him, though, is he will compete.
Definitely an eye test player, Noffy. I don't think he's going to be a stat stuffer, but he puts it all out there. Tossed in St Kilda by 15. Left half forward for the Crows. Maley wins it. Down to Berry. Just pressured under his kick and up and under 5 metres. Flanders waits. Under duress, got it out. Boxall arches the back and gets away from danger. Up to right half forward, his kick to Ryan. There's not a lot ahead. He's got to wait for the overlap. Adelaide's trying to flood back. Ryan squeezes it into the pocket. Sharman 2 to beat. Slips through. Backdoor Butler with a little fancy kick in and under, trying to squeeze the assist to Owens. Gee, that was some soccer mastery. Just the inside of the boot as he tried to thread it central. Owens just didn't cash in. It would have been assist of the century.
It was a
Owens
back
had
heel,
kicked
I
a goal. Incredible.
I've seen Josh Rochelle do stuff like that, but that would have been an incredible goal. So Braden Cook's got the footy and the man on the mark. It's like Stocker there, or Windhager it might be, who's just moved. So we'll get a 50-metre penalty. He's got it at the logo, outer side of the ground. Crows trailing by 16 points. Still half a quarter to go in this second term at Adelaide Oval for Saturday night footy. Up towards Thilthorpe, who flies. Roving was Pedler, got the handball away towards Rankin. 3 Saints around him. That's what it takes to stop him. Wood is one of those. Kicks it out of defence, but it lands in the lap of Laird. Right half forward for the Crows. Packed forward 50. He's got to try and hit a target in the pocket up towards Thilthorpe, who marks in front of Silvani. 35 out. Tight angle away to the right.
What a great kick from Laird. Once again, we've seen St Kilda hit some beautiful kicks inside their forward 50, and Rory Laird just dropped it in a bin there, just to the advantage of Thilthorpe. And you just sense that if this bloke can start to really get going and impose himself on the game, the matchup v Silvani is going to play out in favour of the Crows. But really great kick there from Rory Laird.
It was just patient as well, didn't rush. A lot of numbers flooded back there, but yeah, like you said, executed that brilliantly.
Big moment in the game here for a big Riley Thilthorpe. Drop punt. Just away to the left. Minus score, 4-4-28. St Kilda 6-7-43 into time on now in this second term.
15-point gap. Still well and truly a game, and a packed house at the Adelaide Oval as well. Beautiful night for footy in Adelaide. Playing on from the defensive goal square. Wanganeen Miller with a short pass to Hunter Clark. Plenty of penetration on that kick up towards the broadcast wing. Murray gets in there to bring it to ground. Falling over the footy was Peatling, almost buffeted off it by Owens. Pops out, Murray puts his head over it and crashes into De Koning. It will be a high free kick. It was a straight whistle, but no one really wanted to commit to the call. And in the end, Martin Roger marches in and gives it to Adelaide. Now I'll move it through the half-back line, led to Miller. That was a bit stiff for TDK. Lane Miller now with the footy.
I like this play better. A bit more composure with ball in hand. Look to change the angles. Don't just blast it and bring the Wilkies into the game.
Short to Nankervis. The crowd is getting a little restless though, but even though Josh Franco likes it.
I do, yeah.
And it has worked out. So Michael Annie now looks for the switch on the outer side. Pedler to Laird, and now at right half forward. Braden Cook can arc close to the boundary line and squeeze his kick down.
Perfect.
Flirting with the boundary line to Neil Bullen, who slides in front of the light tower and takes it. So for all their duress, the Crows fans, just take a breath. You get a set shot here.
But what ends up happening, if you can change the angle of the kick, Wilkie has to defend. But if you go quick and blast it, he can drop off and air assist, as he did in the first quarter. And it's interesting, even looking at his numbers, he's only had 1 second quarter touch as we speak and had 13 in the first quarter. So his influence, through whatever reason, but ball movement on that example, has been taken out of the game.
The stand-in skipper on the tight angle. Neil Bullen kicks across the face. An enormous mark on the behind line. Finbar Maley does have some flight. The moose in the air. He is loose.
Taylor Walker giving him some instructions. You take that kick.
I'm just looking at Nick Murray. He's about 70 out from goal calling for it. So I don't think they've got a lot of confidence in him.
Finbar with the hanger, opens the angle and gets the reward. What a highlight play for the man in his 11th game. And the moo around the ground for Finbar, who's a cult hero with the Adelaide Crows. Margins down to 9. 5-4-34. St Kilda 6-7-43. Time on in the second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
That's just brilliant. Staying alert to the game. I mean, Neil Bullen, all right to have a shot there, but Aaron, you touched on it. He certainly is a cult hero of this Adelaide Footy Club, and you don't like to say when someone looks like that, but he's just got goofy presence, and he's a funny man. He's got the mo, and Adelaide Crows fans love him, whether he's playing at home or away. And I know we've touched on it before. He's not really a stats man. He probably ate our words, Aaron. Now he's a goal kicker.
This is what I love about footy. You've got these superstars like Rankin, Rochelle, Nasai, Wanganeen, Miller, and then you've got these players, these big team men like Finbar Maley. Marshall kicks it out of defence, quick inside the forward 50. Worrell did well just to bring it to ground, and Owens now dives in for a tackle, and we'll have a ball up.
Bro, Marshall looking good in the ruck this game, Josh.
Yep. No, he's been influential.
So Marshall, he grabs it out, tries to get the handball away. He does for a moment. Garcia just squibs it back to Brad Hill, who kicks up towards goal. It did have a bit of bend on the bounce, but not enough. A miss away to the right. Minus score, St Kilda 6-8-44. Adelaide 5-4-34. Almost 24 minutes gone.
I reckon at his best, one of the premier rucks in the competition, and probably underrated externally as well.
Hasn't had a great season playing second fiddle to Tom De Koning, but it's working tonight as he plays a more elevated role. Clear and kick out to the eastern side. It goes Adelaide's way off hands. Edwards missed his target, but Peatling eventually gets there. Cannoned into by Wanganeen Miller, but got it out. Rochelle to Laird, and now Cook has some space on the broadcast wing. Lowers the eyes and drills it to Neil Bullen, then gets it back. Cook weaving away from Hunter Clark. Gives it out wide, left half forward to Pedler, and he misses Taylor. It was excellent ball movement. They just didn't have the cherry on top. 25 out. We'll get a boundary throw in instead.
Almost feel like Taylor could have marked that
I
then.
think so.
Yeah, just scared himself out of it, or maybe didn't know where he was on the ground in terms of the boundary.
I think he could have got there, Noffy,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
agree.
Boundary throw in, De Koning doing the ruck work. Rode by Rankin to Rochelle. Snap, goal! What a combo. And the Crows are on a roll. Kicked the last 3 of the game, and they're right back in at 6-4-40. St Kilda 6-8-44.
You talk about, I think you just said what a combo. I reckon
1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's a combo I reckon would give opposition coaches nightmares. Rankin to Rochelle, and when Rochelle gets a sniffing goal with space, gee, I'll tell you what, that was a good finish, almost a textbook finish there from Rochelle. But yeah, the Crows have definitely wrestled momentum back. They look more comfortable now. They've settled into the game, and St Kilda have now got a game on their hands.
Again, another forward 50 stoppage.
Yep.
Rankin involved. You know, that's where he's most dangerous. I feel like in and around stoppages. I know that's been forward of the ball, but I'd like to see him in the mid. But Rochelle's at this centre bounce. But yeah, that's an exciting 1-2 punch for Josh Rochelle and Rankin. You just love how excited they get to celebrate with each other as well.
Adelaide 3 goals from stoppage this turn to St Kilda's 4 behinds. Out of the middle, tap straight to Josh Rochelle. Who else? He's the man of the moment. Hands it to Peatling. Chips the kick into the 50 to Taylor Walker. And Adelaide is rocketing now. Tex set shot straight in front.
Yeah, they certainly are. And if you're looking at centre bounce clearances, it's 5-2 in favour of Adelaide. Tex lining up for another shot on goal. But the exits through the front of the stoppage are so difficult for defenders to stop. You've got to force wide, kick it to the wing, give your defenders a chance. But when it's like that, coming shoulders out, full face of goal, it's tough to defend.
Taylor Walker from the paint of 50, hard and high and long. It is 5 in a row for Adelaide, and they've hit the front. For the first time since the 10-minute mark of the first term, 7-4-46. Adelaide leads St Kilda 6-8-44. Tex has 2. It's time on in the second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport with Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco.
And then just looking at the numbers and the hit-outs to advantage, it's 4-zip this quarter. So when you've got a ruckman that's getting first look at it, he's getting his hand on it and he's hitting it to the midfielder's advantage. As I said, it's really difficult to defend. And St Kilda, they've got to find a way to force those entries, or those exits, I should say, from the centre bounce clearance wide, rather than shoulders out, full face of goal where the defenders are under the pump.
And you can see when they deliver it to Taylor Walker what he can do. 2 for the quarter. Back in the middle of the round, De Koning took it out of the ruck. Immediately tackled by McAndrew and gathered by Edwards. Up towards right half forward, Alex Neil-Bullen marks in front of Brad Hill. 55 from goal, plays on. Flat ball to the top of the goal square, just too much on Thilthorpe. It'll run out over the boundary line. Right forward pocket for the Crows.
I feel like the Adelaide Crows would have been challenged at the quarter time in terms of their midfield and the clearance and the ground ball gets. And they've certainly got on top here, and you just see how much territory they're gaining going inside 50.
It's the same old predictable Adelaide, but it works. Slow starts and then they pick up. Tossed in, McAndrew takes it out of the ruck. Hot handball, but got it to Edwards. He's set upon. 4 Saints close in. Absolute brick wall, and he's caught holding the ball. Poor Charlie. He's had a couple of highlights, but it's a tough welcome to AFL level. Sinclair gets the free kick, uses Cal Wilkie. So Sinclair 19 touches, Wilkie's 15.
Oh,
geez, a dangerous share across defensive 50 to Silvani. Got it back to Wilkie. Thilthorpe's pressuring him. He got out of dodge there pretty well. Kicks around the body, bouncing towards the broadcast wing. Adelaide is set up. Worrell with the 1-2 with Miller. Backtracking to Laird. They'll retreat all the way to defensive 50. And the kick now gets its way to Michael Annie.
So Michael Annie in defence now. He's played all over the ground and chasing Asai Wanganeen Miller a bit, but certainly dropped that for the time being. Butts at right half back. Down the line, looking for Nankervis. Boxall's there. Handballs it to Marshall. His handball was slightly intercepted, but it still got its way to Hill. Boxall took on the tackle. Spun in the 360 and ball up, says the umpire. Wow. Goodness
When
me.
will they pay them? That's holding the ball.
Totally. Very strange decision.
He caressed him. Aaron's sitting here thinking he wants a free kick, but I think that's
I thought he dumped him, but
and-
he did actually guide him down, Noffy. So, yeah, I'm with you, holding the ball. I was going to say, one way or the other, you've got to blow the whistle. It's dangerous tackle or it's holding the ball. Tossed in. Quick clearance by the Saints. Adelaide are there, though. Murray at right half back uses Laird. Then McElhenney just a little long on his kick to Rochelle, and the boundary umpire is going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Might have taken it on the wrong side of the paint. Kicks a little long for Edwards. He's put him under a lot of trouble. 3 Saints around him. Sharman wins out. Hot handball up towards Butler. Pressured by Worrell. He knocks it forward. Murray comes the other way and knocks it back. Adelaide's advantage. They'll get the turnover. And Taylor sends it out to Walker, who's really finding his rhythm now. Cal Wilkie blanketing him in the first quarter. And the Texan just mozzed him again. Short pass as he tried to head up to half forward. It was very shallow. Hunter Clark comes out to make it. His kick not great either. 2-on-2 hits the deck. Butler clean at ground level. Hands it to Wilson for the Saints. Wilkie now plants his feet, takes his time and waits for a runner. He gets it in Windhager. He kicks into Murray coming the other way with the smother. But it ricochets to Sinclair, who arches towards the 50, kicks long in hope. And sitting back is Josh Worrell to take the intercept mark. A lot of desperate plays from Nick Murray there as he's the new talisman down back in the absence of Mark Keane. It is Adelaide by 2 late in the second term.
Mankervis to Neil Bullen to Edwards. Back to Neil Bullen at right half back. Assessing his options. Back to Edwards too. So slowing things down here late in this second term, Adelaide. The long kick comes now. Looking for Pedler, who just nursed Stocker under the ball. Did he touch it? The umpire says yes, so we'll have a boundary thrown forward of centre wing for the Crows, who've certainly won this quarter. 6 goals to 2. All of those last 5 have come from the Crows, so we're down by 26 points early in this quarter, now lead it by 2. From the boundary throw-in, Hill gets a handball away, up towards Flanders, back to Hill. Player down behind play, I think it's Garcia. Keep an eye on that one. Crows get the intercept through Laird on the logo, outer side of the ground. Goes back to Worrell, back to Laird. He's in the middle of the ground now, finds Millerer. About 70 from goal.
Garcia all good. Meanwhile, Millerer. Pinpoint pass as he casually places it. Attacking edge, left half forward. Worrell reckons he's got the range. Steps across the man on the mark. Gives it everything to the goal square. Walker drew 3. Knocked it down. No one was there front and square. Silvani comes in. Neil Bullen gets him though, holding the ball. Tried to sidestep the skipper. Neil Bullen wraps him up. Free kick. Adelaide straight in front. 20 out.
Oh, it's just the tale of Adelaide Crows. Their ability to get in the game in the second quarter has been impressive, but it's something you don't want to be impressed with because their ability to not start the game well is certainly worrying.
You don't want to praise them for a poor performance, but as we've touched on, for some reason it just keeps working. Down at quarter time by 20, and now on the half-time siren, James Peatling comes in from 30 outs and puts Adelaide up by 8. A massive turnaround in the second term as Adelaide kick a monstrous 7 goals to 2, and the Crows have kicked the last 6 of the game. It's an amazing run. 8-4-52 the Crows, St Kilda 6-8-44, and the worry for Ross Lyon is their worst quarter of footy is coming. St Kilda have not won a third term this year, so they'll need to turn the narrative around after the halftime break to get into this contest. It is Adelaide by 8 points. 8-4-52 to 6-8-44. The goal scorers as well for the Crows. 2 to Walker, singles to Keys, Thilthorpe, Rochelle, Rankin, Peatling and Maley. Meanwhile, for the Saints, 2 to Jack Higgins, singles to Owens, Butler, Wilson and Ryan. Text line tonight, 0437 774 774. Robin Greensborough has got in touch and said, did Taylor Walker choose his goal song because he misheard it as Tex on Fire? I reckon that's probably a more likely scenario than him being a huge Kings of Leon fan. I don't know, but it sounds something like right up Taylor Walker's alley. Noffy seemed to be a bit cheeky. 0437 774 774 if you'd like to get in touch. We've been blessed today with a trifecta of footy. So the Suns and the Bombers was a thriller at Carrara. Essendon up by 5 at three-quarter time. Gold Coast 5 in a row, had an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter, and it ends up being a 9-point victory. So a gallant effort by the Bombers. And then Port Adelaide against the Hawks showed a bit of fight as well. 3-point winners at Docklands, the Hawks, but they kicked the first 4. Port Adelaide had 6 unanswered goals in the second. Level at three-quarter time, goes to the wire, and Mitch Georgiades misses the winner close to the buzzer. So Hawthorn get away with one there, and Port Adelaide show a bit of spirit after a rough start to their campaign. Has all the makings of a similar finish tonight. It is Adelaide by 8 points. Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco. What did you make of that turnaround from the Crows? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it's interesting. You talk about what's the secret sauce, and the pressure definitely lifted from Adelaide. They started to get their hands on the footy. The numbers support that. So at quarter time, they were -9 in contested ball. That quarter, they were pretty much even. And then they were able to get their game going, their front half game going, but also it looked like they showed a little bit more composure with ball in hand. So Adelaide only had 21 first quarter marks. They had 35, so a little bit more kick mark. I know the crowd were sort of getting a little bit restless at one point, but their ability to shift the angles and Wilkie's influence was negated based on the fact that they were able to change the angle of the kick and go inside 50 with a little bit more method. But overall, I thought their pressure increased. Their centre bounce work, you mentioned that, Ebony, as well, that their centre bounce work was outstanding. They kicked 2 goals. They won at 6-2, but it's the way they won their clearances. They were full face of goal, speed on the ball, putting the defenders under the pump, and they look really dangerous. And as we said, they kicked 2 goals from the centre bounce in that second quarter. The inside 50s, it was 14-8. As I said, contested ball evened up. The tackle count, they were +8 that quarter. So as we said, the pressure rating did lift. And as a result of that, they were able to, I guess, dominate field position and look really threatening inside their forward 50.
Well, Josh, you summed it up perfectly, and it was all come down to the field position and the way they were able to get on top and negate Callum Wilkie, and even Sinclair's, influence in the first quarter was profound. And I thought they were able to just use a little bit more composure going inside 50, and it was a little bit slower, but it was in the 40-50 mark. In the first quarter, they were just long dump kicking, hoping and wishing. And with Cal Wilkie, it blows my mind that that's kind of how they started playing. I mean, he's in career best form. His ability to mark off a kick or, win that 1v1, I don't really know or understand how they went with that method. But kudos to the Adelaide Crows to be able to work through that, and even with the midfield getting back on top. I thought St Kilda still were at the ground level. They're still getting that backwards handball, just weren't able to get on top at all really in that second quarter, but they're certainly still in this game, and when they are on and they're giving their forwards first use, I feel like the battle between the forwards, it looks like the Adelaide Crows, when St Kilda's ball movement is really fast, they look nowhere near their opponent. Yeah. So I feel like if St Kilda want to win this game and get back on top, it's that fast, slick ball movement that kind of gets Adelaide on the back foot and not able to defend. And
that's what we've spoken about. Obviously, in the first half of this game, they look really dangerous, St Kilda, when Adelaide get the ball turned over sort of off their half-back line from St Kilda's perspective, and then they can get speed on the ball and they look dangerous ahead of the ball. They weren't able to do that as much in that quarter. And as we said, the Crows dominated field position in terms of, inside 50s. Like I said, it was 14-8, so what's that, +6 inside 50s. And I think the matchup for me that I think as the game wears on, if Adelaide can control momentum and territory, is the Phil Thorpe-Silvani one. We saw that Charlie Edwards clearance, the one-on-one, he's just too big and strong, and they've got no one to go with him. And but the big key is, as we said, the ball movement from Adelaide, so that Wilkie can't have the influence behind the ball, which he did in the first quarter. It was negated in the second. But that'll obviously go a long way to determining the outcome of this contest. And you still feel like the absence of Max King is hurting Ross Lyon's men. So Mitch Owens is essentially their only tall forward who's kicked a goal so far tonight. So they're getting a lot of entries. It's just relying on the smalls to do a lot of damage when it hits the deck, because without a talisman leading out of the goal square, it's hard to really pinpoint a target once you get that opportunity. And thankfully, Max is a few weeks away by the sounds of things, and hopefully he'll be able to slot straight back into the lineup for the Saints. And I guess that's where they need more out of a Marshall when he's forward, or a De Koning. I know De Koning had a shot on goal in that first quarter but missed it. But that's where they need more out of those two guys, just to relieve the pressure. Like a Phil Thorpe taking a mark just when Adelaide need it, go back and slotting the goal. But you're right, they don't look all that threatening ahead of the ball. No. Just on Marshall, he's had the 16 disposals and 11 are contested. He's had 8 first possession. So it feels like they've flipped it, haven't they? Because Marshall as a forward wasn't working. No. He hasn't kicked a goal all year, and he's having career lows in terms of disposal. So they've said, why not we try you as the ruck and see what TDK can do up forward? And so you feel like it's not
it's still not really working?
Look, I don't think it is, but they backed themselves into a corner. I mean, De Koning's on massive dollars, so they see him as the future. As I said, having coached against Rowan Marshall, I guess in recent years, I think he's a much underrated player. He wouldn't be underrated internally, but externally underrated. You talk about the Gawns and the dominant rucks in the competition. He's, in my opinion, a genuine star of the comp.
Well, you go back to players wanting to leave.
Yeah.
Marshall wanted to get out.
Yeah.
And more often than not, clubs honour that. But clearly, internally, they know what he's capable of, and he was contracted, and St Kilda are in their right to hold him to that. But it probably just goes to show just how much they knew they didn't want to lose him.
But it might mean, as you said, Aaron, it might mean that, you know what, De Koning, that you're just going to play that forward role while we wait for Max King to get back, and Rowan Marshall seems to be working in the ruck. As you said, he's getting hold of the footy, then they'll just roll with that for the time being.
They just didn't want to give him to Geelong for nothing.
True.
That's really what it was. I think if they had have got a respectable offer from Geelong, they probably would have done it and granted his wish. But when they're not offering, much
for
more
a premium,
for a premium player, they just sort of thought, look, we'll hold on to him and we might be able to get a bit more for him in this trade period if he wants to do the same.
Well, Mick Andrew, in terms of what he's been able to do, having not played too many games of AFL, you'd say that, his first month of footy has been impressive. It's been challenged. He's come up against Oppos, and certainly tonight he's been challenged, but he's still been able to get on top, get some hit-outs to advantage and compete. Yes, Marshall's had the 16 disposals, but you'd arguably say that McAndrew's played his role and held up his bargain and had... the first quarter, Adelaide Crows certainly didn't have the dominance in midfield, but I still felt like St Kilda were able to shark McAndrew's ball.
Thoughts of Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco with you for Saturday night footy on ABC Sports. So at the major break, Adelaide leading by 8 points over St Kilda, who are up by 20 at quarter time. So it's not 8-4-52. The Crows leading 6-8-44 St Kilda. A couple of texts coming through as well. So Terry, Drew and Richard hoping for a Saints win while sitting beside the fire at the Great Lake in Tassie. There's -1 degrees there. Glad you're keeping warm, crew, because that sounds hard. Hopefully the fire is nice and big and keeping you guys well blanketed in what is going to be a chilly night. And Stephen Ballarat says, give the Saints some credit. They started brilliantly. The Crows have got back on top, game on. So we will see what the second half has in store. But historically, this season, St Kilda has not won a third term. So we'll see if they can flip that narrative and get back on top after the major break. News of the day as well. So Sam Darcy confirmed to have ruptured his ACL last night against the Cats, and the Western Bulldogs have said he is out for the season. The AFL have released a statement regarding Elijah Hollands' performance for Carlton on Thursday night. The AFL has requested Carlton, once concluded, to provide the outcome of its review of the circumstances relating to his fitness, and then the AFL will continue to make inquiries with the club regarding it. So there sounds like there'll be a pretty serious investigation there by the AFL as a result of the health and well-being of Elijah Hollands, which the club has said he suffered a mental health issue on Thursday night against Collingwood. Text line 0437 774 774 if you want to get in touch as well, and we'll give you some more details on those earlier games shortly. But for now, on ABC Local Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen, we can get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Iran's military says it will close the Strait of Hormuz again in response to the US maintaining its blockade of Iranian ports and ships. Iran's military is resuming its control of the strait. It says the Fars news agency and other Iranian news agencies are citing a statement from the Revolutionary Guards that the strait will return to its previous state with armed forces controlling the area. The statement accuses the US of piracy, saying that its so-called blockade amounts to maritime robbery. It comes as a convoy of 8 shipping vessels was reportedly transiting the waterway, and it's unclear how many have achieved that. Earlier today, the Prime Minister said there'll be a second meeting with world leaders in London next week in order to discuss joint efforts to protect the Strait of Hormuz. Political reporter Samantha Dick has more.
During last night's virtual meeting with nearly 50 world leaders, Anthony Albanese and others expressed cautious optimism that a ceasefire in Lebanon will hold and that the Strait of Hormuz will remain open to commercial shipping vessels. The Prime Minister says he did not commit to sending military assets to protect the strait at this stage.
Australia obviously is a long way away from the strait compared with European nations.
Mr Albanese says his government will consider any requests at next week's meeting in London.
A man has been charged after allegedly failing to pay more than $2,000 worth of fuel across the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales. Police allege the 29-year-old refuelled his car on 15 occasions across 6 service stations in Lismore and West Ballina between February the 1st and April the 13th. They say he used stolen registration plates to refuel and has been charged with 15 counts of dishonestly obtaining property by deception, along with 2 counts of unlawfully possessing number plates. He's been granted conditional bail and will appear at Lismore Local Court on May the 18th. There have been 2 deaths in Western Australian prisons over the past 24 hours. Last night, a 54-year-old man was found dead at the Darwin work camp in the Wheatbelt, while this morning a 40-year-old Aboriginal woman died at the Bandiup Women's Prison. Corrective services say there are no suspicious circumstances surrounding either death. A person has died after a car mounted a curb and struck 2 pedestrians outside the Melbourne Showgrounds in the city's northwest. Police say the incident occurred in Ascot Vale this afternoon just before 5 o'clock. A second person has been taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. A man has been arrested over the incident and will be interviewed by police. The 2-day Supernova Comic Con and gaming event is being held at the Showgrounds this weekend. Victoria Police says its new model of deploying protective services officers will allow them to have officers where they're needed most. From tomorrow, PSOs will ride the trains between 119 smaller and less busy stations rather than be solely based on platforms. The force says it allows PSOs to deal with incidents as they occur aboard carriages and also free up officers for more targeted and intelligence-informed deployments. North West Metro Assistant Commissioner Mick Hermans says the new model allows for greater flexibility.
The changes reflect the reality that some stations experience more crime and antisocial behaviour than others, and in fact a large portion of our stations report very little crime or indeed have more significant issues during the day rather than later in the evening.
The European Union is threatening to ban Australian tea tree oil from its market. The EU suspects tea tree oil may interfere with fertility and is considering reclassifying it as a Category 1B reproductive toxin. If the changes go ahead, it could seriously affect a $40 million export market, with the EU accounting for around 30% of that. Industry leaders warn the move could potentially trigger a global collapse in the demand for Australian tea tree oil. Turning to sport, and Christian Petrarca has starred for the Gold Coast Suns on his return from injury, kicking 3 goals and finishing with 25 disposals in his side's tight 9-point win over Essendon at Carrara. The Bombers, fresh from a drought-breaking win last week against Melbourne, Petrarca's old side led by 12 points during the third quarter, but the Suns rallied to claim a 17-17 119 to 17-8 110 victory. In today's other completed game, Hawthorn came from behind to beat Port Adelaide in a tight one at Docklands 89-86. ABC News.
Join us on Anzac Day across the ABC. From Gallipoli and Villers-Bretonneux to the dawn service and march in your capital city.
We will remember them.
On ABC Radio, TV and iView and on ABC Listen.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Wanganeen Miller handballs it off to Garcia, felt the pressure, clean from Marshall to Boxall. Rankin got a hand in there to Koning, to Michito Owens, who kicks the banana and kicks the goal. Another hot start from the Saints in the second term. Margins now out to 26 points.
McAndrew double tap down. Charlie Edwards brushes off a tackle. This is a soaring kick into the 50 and hits Riley Philthorpe at the top of the goal square. That's what they want to see from the debutant. Straight in front. Riley Philthorpe cashes in. Adelaide get one back.
Handballs to Butts. Over the top towards Murray at right half forward. Goes inside the forward 50. Taylor Walker, one hand, 2 hands, 3 bites of the cherry and marks 15 metres out directly in front. Walker from 20 out. pumps it through the middle. He's fired up. Adelaide get another.
The stand-in skipper on the tight angle. Neil Bullen kicks across the face. An enormous mark on the behind line. Finbar Maley does have some flight. The moose in the air. He is loose.
Taylor Walker giving him some instructions. You take that kick.
Finbar with the hanger opens the angle and gets the reward. What a highlight play for the man in his 11th game.
Boundary throw in, De Koning doing the ruck work. Rode by Rankin to Rochelle. Snap, goal. What a combo. And the Crows are on a roll.
Out of the middle, tap straight to Josh Rochelle. Who else? He's the man of the moment. Hands it to Peatling. Chips the kick into the 50 to Taylor Walker. And Adelaide is rocketing now. Taylor Walker from the paint of 50. Hard and high and long. It is 5 in a row for Adelaide. And they've hit the front.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
A huge 7-2 term for the Crows, including a run of 6 all the way to half-time, has put them up at the major break. They lead by 8, 8-4-52 to 6-8-44. The Saints started so promisingly, and Adelaide really ripped back the momentum in the second term, and the home crowd certainly joined in the party as they started to rock and roll. Plenty of footy to come, though, as this game plays out between the Crows and the Saints. We've got another half coming your way for Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. What a day we've had as well. So Gold Coast knocking off Essendon at Carrara by 9 points. The Bombers were actually up by 5 at three-quarter time. The Suns kicked 5 in a row. They ended up leading by 18 in the fourth term. Essendon have 3 of the last 4 goals and ultimately fall short. Christian Petrarca best on ground on return. 25 touches, 3 goals, and got all 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Jordan Ridley's soft tissue problems continuing. Another calf for him for the Bombers, but showing some promise, Brad Scott's young men. The middle game over at the Docklands, Hawthorn held off Port Adelaide by 3 points. They kicked the first 4, the Hawks, and you thought, gee, this is going to get ugly. Port had 6 unanswered in the second term. Scores level at three-quarter time. Mitch Georgiades gets a shot late to win with about 40 seconds to go. Misses from pretty far out. And then ultimately Hawthorn hang on to win by 3. Nick Watson the best, 5 goals for the afternoon. Zach Butters, after all the talk through the week about his tribunal drama, bounced back 35 touches and a goal. So it didn't faze him one bit. Port Adelaide have a little bit more momentum after a sluggish start to the year. Aaron Bryans, Tom Wilson, Ebony Marinoff, Josh Franco and Steve Murphy with you for the Crows and the Saints tonight, and we're all ready to go for this second half. Can the Saints find some rhythm again, Josh and Noffy, or are we going to see the same old third quarter St Kilda who haven't won a term this year?
Yeah, my fear for the Saints is that they've thrown everything at Adelaide in that first quarter, couldn't stem the flow in the second, and look, they need to start this quarter well, otherwise things could get away from them quickly, because Adelaide looked pretty good and damaging in that second quarter.
They are going to the scoring end this term. 11 of the 14 goals have gone to the northern end. That's the scoreboard end of the ground. They trail by 8 points. With ABC Sports Saturday night footy, Crows up against the Saints. The home side lead it by 8 points. Second half underway. De Koning knocks it down, roved though by Berry. He's got some company with Garcia. Handballs in time to Rochelle, to Peatling. Laird just dropped that handball. Peatling all the way back to Worrell. Fakes on his left, goes right, handballs to Laird. Short ball to Braden Cook. Just in front of the benches, short pass to Peatling. So right up against the paint of the boundary line. Kicks inside the forward 50. Flying is Walker, brings it to ground. McAndrew there too. Walker again. Takes a high tackle there from Nasiah Wanganeen Miller. Just poked him in the face. Right in front of the umpire. He'll have a shot 45 out in a 45-degree angle.
Tell you what Tex did there. Sorry, Benitez. He made the umpire see exactly what had happened. He threw his head back and drew the free kick. It was technically there. Not a lot in it, but no, definitely high.
Yeah, he touched him over the shoulder.
He did, yeah.
Going back to that kick, though, James Peatling kicks that inside 50. In that first quarter, they're allowing St Kilda to mark that ball. Just bring it to ground, create a contest, put St Kilda under pressure, and then another free kick shot on goal.
Get his kicking boots on in the second term with 2 goals. Can he start it hot for the Crows? He does, and he points to the fans. He's got 3, Taylor Walker, and that's 7 in a row for Adelaide in this match. Up to a 14-point margin, 9-4-58. St Kilda 6-8-44, 90 seconds into this third term.
Well, we saw Taylor Walker, as you said, Ebony, the influence of Wilkie in that first quarter. He lowered Texas colours, but he's worked back into the game nicely, hasn't he? And I'll tell you what, if you're putting your life on someone to kick a goal from that distance, he'd be the man, I reckon.
Turns 36 next Saturday, Taylor
Wow.
Walker. And I was going to mention through the call, he's actually had a career worst start to a season in terms of goals scored in the first 5 weeks. Doesn't feel like that. He hasn't been terrible, but he's just way more prolific than this. That being said, on the eve of his birthday, he's having a pretty big night.
I was going to say, I feel that I know that Adelaide Crows have been a little bit slow, but that Taylor's, when he's played, he's certainly impacted.
More of a role play this year for sure. Adelaide by 14. De Koning wins it down. It bounces off the bootlaces of Garcia. Flanders thought he was held, left the footy behind, turning to the umpire. Meant that head over the footy was Berry, and he's caught high by Garcia. Adelaide go quickly. They take the advantage. Cook into the 50. Phil Thorpe on the march. Takes it out in front. 35 out tight to the right.
Crows looking ominous now.
And that's the kick.
Yeah.
That's what St Kilda were able to do, even in the first half. Just Silvani, no chance of impacting that. And if he does, he's giving a free kick away to Phil Thorpe.
Big Riley will start on the fence at right half forward. The crowd will give him some silence, though, to get into his rhythm. Long approach. Riley Thilthorpe. Tight angle. Starts right, but it's a straight line delivery. No chance of coming back. Minor score. Crows lead by 15 points. The Saints were as high as 26 in the early stages of the second. Big flip through that second and now early stages of the third.
Sinclair brings it into Windhager. Right back pocket. Runs around on the mark. Kicks long towards the wing. Nursed under it was Marshall. Roving at the back of the pack was Cumming to Butts, to Millera, to Rochelle. Geez, they've gone 50 metres back to Nick Murray, but it's going to work at left half back. Takes the mark.
Miller is on. Found it.
Found Millera, and he goes all the way to centre half back. It's really opened up for Bond to Worrell. He's at right half back. Goes inboard now to Millera. Punched away from Peatling. Will they get punished? Clever from Berry. Hit it down like a ruckman to Millera, to Rankin, to Cook, who sells some nice candy. Up inside the forward 50. Thilthorpe's got a run at it. Got two hands to it. Roved now in the hands of Sinclair. Over the top to Wood for St Kilda at left half back. He took on the tacklers. That's holding the ball right in front of the umpire. And it's either Rankin or Walker who'll get this free. Two sharks fighting over this one.
Didn't they?
And Walker.
The experienced one out there. Tex took the footy.
Well, I think it goes to Taylor Walker because he finished the tackle. I know Ranks probably started it, but again, pressure. They're putting St Kilda under pressure, not allowing those easy exits. Oh, Taylor, have some respect for the chair. He's just throwing that 2 metres.
He was directing the security guards down there out the way, but they left the chair in the way, Noffy. So he throws it to the side. This is going to take a good kick, but he would have practiced plenty of these. And he's practiced plenty, and he's kicked plenty. He's fired up, Taylor Walker. That's his fourth. Already got 2 for the quarter. Adelaide on fire, 8 in a row for the match. 10-5, 65, St Kilda, 6-8, 44, 5 minutes gone, third term.
A brilliant response from Taylor Walker. Wilkie had 12 disposals in the first quarter, 6 marks, and 4 of those also intercepted. Had an absolute bath in Taylor Walker. I love that he's very experienced, as we all know. His ability to bring himself back in the game and compete is one thing, but his ability to finish, like he touched on, Josh, if you want someone kicking for goal, it's Taylor Walker. And you'd have to say he's winning this battle now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he absolutely. He's kicked 4 goals, but I think the other thing is, from Taylor Walker's perspective, I know we talk about his set shot for goal. His field kicking, both left and right, is also a feature of his game, but to be able to go back and nail that, outstanding.
4 against the Saints for the 4th time in his career. And out of the middle go Adelaide again. The tap from McAndrew to Berry, who surges out of there. Hot kick into the 50. Phil thought flew, couldn't take it. Walker crumbs off a step. Gee, he's feeling it now. Anything is in the range of Taylor Walker. Off a step, 35 out. He misses across the face and out on the full. But my goodness, he's a new man, Noffy. What's happened?
That would have brought the stadium down.
The centre bounces are really getting away from St Kilda as well. It's already 3-zip. They've kicked 1 goal, 1. And getting field position off the back of it. Saints now can't move the ball.
High kick out of defence from Wilkie, rode by Rochelle. Short ball to Neil Bullen, not 15, says the umpire. Tackled by Flanders, gets a quick kick away. Grabbed by Cook, he goes the banana! What a goal, Braden Cook! The check side! Oh! It's hot in the kitchen. The Crows 9 in a row. 11-5-71, St Kilda 6-8-44.
When you talk about the skill and marvel at the execution there of Cook, didn't have a lot of time to think about it, under pressure, but right on the boundary. He just made the ball talk then, didn't he?
Again, Taylor Walker just pushing Wilkie out of that contest and allowed Cook all that space. And Cook coming into this season, he was going to have to play. He had a tremendous pre-season, and I feel like with a kid like that, you just have to play him. Got to allow him to have continuity and build into the games. And with Hinge going out, he's certainly found a role on this wing, and his skills as good as anyone, I would say, on this team, Adelaide Crows, and he's showing that in glimpses, and hopefully he can stay more consistent throughout the season.
Well, the other thing as well, I was just about to say, Marshall needs to be in the ruck. He's on the bench because they're getting slaughtered in centre bounce, St Kilda.
Crows by 27 after being down 26. High free kick after the tap is DeConing collars McAndrew. He releases Miller, who sidesteps, shoots the handball to the attacking edge. Berry, 55 out, says, why not? Long kick. Walker tries to shepherd it through, but it bounces into the post. Minor score. Adelaide by 28. And the Saints South Australian road trip might be coming to an abrupt end. They're already on the flight home. We foreshadowed it. Their third quarters are miserable, but it's happening again at the Adelaide Oval.
Wilkie out towards centre wing. That goes out over the back. Was that touched? No, it wasn't. So it's going to be coming straight back in. 80 from goal. Rory led out of side wing. He's going to put a high ball back in. Up towards Walker. Maley gets two hands on it. Grabbed by Wilkie. Got through the tackle to Silvani. Dump kick out of defence, and waiting for it is Butts, centre wing.
Jordan Butts back in the side after his delayed concussion. Sends Adelaide inside 50. Kick a little long for Keys. It bounced in the hole. Boxall traps it and is wrapped up for his troubles. Ball up 25 out.
Aaron, how are these for some numbers quickly? 35 to 9 disposals. Inside 50s 8 zip. Clearances 4 zip. Adelaide absolutely smashing St Kilda everywhere.
The Saints are asleep. McAndrew down to Rankin. Tried to break out of the stoppage. Tackled by Jack Sinclair holding the ball. Flanders instead, they've given him the ball. So defensive 50. Sam Flanders looks to the eastern side. Heads to a 2-on-2. Owens with a bit of hang time. Couldn't bring it down. Volleyed out of there, though. Sharman just goes for territory. It tumbles up to right half forward. Ryan's going to be second to the ball, and Bond's happy to let it roll over. It'll be a last disposal free kick the way of the Crows. Hugh Bond, who's been in and out of the side, depending on availability of his teammates, just keeps making it work. Shares with Worrell through defensive 50. Short pass to Michael Annie, and now across all the way to the broadcast side to Miller. Crows by 28. Miller says, stuff it straight up the middle. Had to be precise. It was pinpoint over Garcia and Edwards. He hands it to Berry, who marches his way to the eastern side. Gives it back to Bond, who was streamlining by. Uses Taylor on the half volley from 50. Kicks towards Rankin. Pushes off Carroll and takes the mark. Tight in the right forward pocket. 10 out.
What I will say, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus here, but I don't reckon Ross Lyon will be all that thrilled with Garcia's effort in the centre of the ground there. Didn't go back hard enough, and now paid the ultimate price with the ball in the hands of Rankin. 15 out from goal.
Had the two Brownlow votes the last time the Saints met Noffy, and had 2 goals in that instance as well. He's 25 out from goal, Isaac Rankin. They will roar for this. Riverbank stand end. Rankin misses across the face. That was a shocker. Arced right late and then kicked across the body. It's Adelaide by 29.
I was about to say to you, Aaron, he looked like he was going to do one of those snaps, but took the set shot. But that's a poor miss. That's 20 metres out in front. Got to get those.
He tried to kick the cover off it, I think.
Saints yet to go inside 50 as well. And we've already played 7 minutes of this third quarter.
Quite remarkable. Coming out of defence is Carroll. Up down the line to Owens, an important one-on-one mark win. Centre wing. Can go short to Hall. More lateral. Close to the Crows bench. Back to Flanders. So really move forward here as Crows flood back. Set up in defence. Now they try to get it moving. Carroll's going to go long. Can they get a mark? Fisted down by the Crows. Owens tries to rove. So too does Filippo. Lays the tackle on McAndrew. And we'll have a ball up 30 from goal. Away to the left for St Kilda. They're trailing by 29 points after conceding the last 9 of the game.
Haven't kicked a goal since the 7-minute mark of the second term, the Saints. Tossed up inside their 50, tapped down to Berry, gets it back to Nankervis. Spun in the tackle but got a kick away. Wobbles up towards right half back. St Kilda have the numbers. Boxall with a handball retreats his way to Flanders. Kicks across the body. It'll land just inside the 50. De Koning had 3 to beat. Fist came in. Max Hall there, crushed. Charlie Edwards is really starting to get into this rhythm. Good tackle as he brings him to ground. He's slotted well into the Adelaide midfield. 11 touches for the night. Quick reset as well. Gorgeous tap down. De Koning gets it across to Garcia. Dribble kick across the face. Ryan left it behind. Has another crack but can't get boot to ball as the desperate dive cutting on top is Bond. Ryan rips the footy out, pulled over the goal line, but it's going to be a ball up, I reckon, just before we are a metre out.
That was brilliant by Bond there. That could have been a goal. I mean, Ryan had to be careful of the kicking in danger.
Bond saving the day. Pretty familiar, you think? I don't think it's going to result in the option that he wanted, though. They tap down to Butler, quickly out of the stoppage, kicks across the body, and Dan Butler gets his second of the night. Finally, St Kilda back on the goal scorers list. First major since the 7-minute mark of the second, and snaps a 9-goal run for the Crows. Margins 23 now. 7-8-50 is the Saints. Adelaide 11-7-73. 13 played, third term on ABC Sport.
Well, Aaron, as you said, it was obviously against the flow of play. Adelaide have dominated territory. They've dominated everywhere in terms of the KPIs in this third quarter. And one thing clubs do a lot of is they do practice a lot of how to stem momentum. So to kick 9 unanswered goals from St Kilda's perspective is obviously not what Ross Lyon would have ordered, but as you said, a much-needed goal against the flow.
So Wanganeen Miller in the middle of the ground. Charlie Edwards in his first game lined up against him. What a tough task.
The question is, I guess, like with Charlie Edwards coming in, we're not sure where Dawson comes back, but I wonder what this looks like for him.
Yeah. Well, he's doing well enough at the moment. 4 clearances as well, Noffy. Here's a clearance for Filippo, who's in the middle of the ground. Been quiet tonight. Didn't quite hit a target. Falls in the lap of Murray, who goes back to Michael Lanny. Finds the target in Cook at right half back. Really finding himself in this team, as we mentioned after that goal. Play right across the ground. Lowers the eyes looking for Thilthorpe and hits him on the chest.
How good was that kick?
Oh.
Goodness me.
We've seen some great ball use tonight from both teams.
Yeah.
Certainly from the Saints in the first quarter. And since then, the Crows have been on top. Up by 23 points. Long kick towards right half forward and Wilkie in the hole. Takes an intercept mark. So dominant in that first quarter. Switches it now to Silvani at centre half back.
Takes his time and heads to left half back to Liam Stocker. Through the broadcast wing he goes. Searching kick up to left half forward. Owens had to wait for the drop and Butts closes with the fist. Boundary throw in to come. Adelaide by 23. On the text line, getting in touch with us is Catherine and Michael, the Perth-based Hawks supporters, thanking us for the call. They're en route back to Perth, having travelled to Dowerin to watch Buddy Franklin play for his old club. Sounds like a great trip. Got to meet Buddy and Croft. Congratulations, Kath and Michael.
That's cool.
Toss back in and a free kick going the way of the Saints. So Nasai Wanganeen Miller to get it against Joshua Shelley. Called to play on. He spots the target he likes. Squares the kick into the centre square. Jack Silvani just wide of the circle. Heads all the way to the eastern side. Full switch. Brad Hill now, right in front of the Odie stand.
A little bit of St Kilda as well. They don't look threatening unless there's speed on the ball, do they?
Yeah.
In terms of what they look like inside their forward 50, they just don't look like they're going to take a mark.
This one goes inside the forward 50. They need a mark. Owens tried to. Roved by Filippo. Here's Hall looking for a target. He finds Wood 45 metres out directly on front.
That's a great kick.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure was, wasn't it? Again, just real composed with ball in hand.
But yeah, if you stop their run, I mean, they had that run in that first quarter and probably, needed to hit more than 4-4 because they completely dominated.
And it probably goes back to the Max King absence is hurting them. And not that he's a great contested marker, but he's a threat up there.
He's in full training, so hopefully only a couple of weeks away for Saints fans. In the meantime, Mason Wood off the left boot. Hits that nicely and straight up celebration. He knew straight away. So St Kilda get back-to-back goals. Try to claw their way back in this match. They go to 8-8-56. Adelaide 11-7-73. That's a 17-point margin. 17 minutes gone third term.
And I guess just to clarify, Max King, I say he's not a great contested marker. He is, but when he has to wrestle with the big body guys, that's not his strength. He gets a run and jump at it. But as I said, they just haven't looked threatening aerially ahead of the ball and don't have anyone up there that could just take a mark to relieve the pressure and go back and kick the goal. And as we said, it hasn't really worked with Marshall, hasn't worked with De Koning, but no speed on the ball. They haven't looked dangerous at all, the Saints.
Still in this contest, though. It's just a 3-goal game. 17 points is Adelaide's lead, and we're still halfway through the third term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Martin Roger tosses it into the air. Marshall uses the body on Maley, takes it out of the ruck, but the kick was smothered, and Rochelle throws a boot at it. It's a high volley into the 50. Walker brings it down. Rankin didn't commit to the near head-on collision with Stocker. He puts his body on the line and wins it. Knocked it out to Windhager, and the Saints head to the eastern side. Paul Marks steps across, kicks down the line. Marshall clunks it. He's got Finbar's number at the moment. Marshall turns into the 50. Ryan takes the mark. Excellent ball movement from the Saints.
That's the play, isn't it? That's the play they're after, and again, that's where they look really dangerous. When there's speed on the ball, there's space inside their forward 50. Beautifully weighted advantage side kick there to Ryan, and terrific forward craft. Just read the flight of the ball and needs to go back and kick this. And we talk about Adelaide kicking 9 unanswered goals. Is this their third in a row? Yep. So the dynamic of the game has just shifted a little bit. He needs to go back and nail it, though.
Man on the marks, 30 out. It's been a game of momentum. The Saints had 5 either side of quarter time. The Crows with 9 in a row. Ryan comes in with the kick and gives the Saints a behind. Just moved a little late as it flailed to the left. And as a result, Adelaide's lead is 16 points, and they want to go pretty quick.
Certainly do. Max Michelini under pressure at right half back. It allows Phil Thorpe to fly at this one. It's like Taylor got a free kick off the ball anyway, but they'll pay the mark. Centre wing. Going a short ball. That was off the boot of Neil Ball, and that's pretty unlucky. Out of bounds on the full. Flanders wastes no time. On the bounce to Hunter Clark. He's got time. He goes short. Handball's back to Hunter Clark. Goes short again to Boxall. Out wide to De Koning. Left half forward. Saints players streaming forward, but the Crows defence streaming back. So he handballs to Hill. He goes for a flat ball inside the forward 50, looking for Marshall, but it's Max Michelini who takes the intercept mark. The young gun in the back pocket.
Looks left, decides to thump it right. Bangs his kick up to the broadcast wing. Coming in with the fist is Taylor to make a contest of it. There are a few Saints there. Out the back door, Flanders zigging and zagging. Didn't have a lot of room. Gives it to Clark, and he can't find any either. Kick smothered. Neil Bullen gets across, and it's over the boundary line.
I still say the game has shifted a bit, hasn't it? Definitely momentum with St Kilda in the last at least 5 or 6 minutes after starting this third quarter horribly.
Plenty of time to go in the term as well if they can really cash in on it.
Yep.
Get on a run, the Saints. They're down 16. Tossed in. Front position was De Koning. He's edged out of it, though, by McAndrew. Gathers the footy. Whacks it hard and long. Maley comes in with the fist and cleans up Phil Thorpe. Could have had a chance, a marking opportunity for Big Riley. But you're right, Josh. It's given them a boundary throw-in right on the paint of 50, Adelaide.
That was brilliant from the Big Moose.
It's what we didn't see in the first quarter. Just really competing and making sure those 1v1s, a kill spoil or another stoppage or a throw-in.
Barely a spare seat in the house. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Tap down from McAndrew into the throat of Peatling, but wrestled away from the footy. It's ripped out of his grasp. Pocket picked. Owens gets it towards Garcia. Tries to guide it down the line, almost caresses it, and didn't really work for Sharman, who had Murray all over him. Off hands, it rolls over the boundary line.
Thought that might have been insufficient intent then. Yeah. They've been paying them over the first 5 rounds, haven't they?
Yeah, Murray knocked it straight out.
Yep.
Threw it straight out, paddled it over.
Crows up by 16 points, 21 minutes gone in the third term. McAndrew knocks it down. Rove there by Sinclair. Sweeping handball to Garcia. Goes inside the forward 50. Marshall's got to beat 2. And he was able to bring it to ground, rowed by Higgins. Laird lays a high-ish tackle, but not too high, says the umpire. So we'll get a ball up, the tackle on Butler.
In a backman's night, Worrell with 22, Miller with 21, Sinclair with 25, and Wilkie with 21 as well. Tap down Garcia, gets first to the footy. Handball was a little hot for Higgins. He's pulled away from it by Michael Lanny into the deck. Gathered by Cumming, gives it off to Laird. Running by, full stride, he kicks down the line, and Wilkie.
Wow.
Outmatches Maley this time. His kick's miserable. A tumbler worm burner towards Boxall, who fumbles, falls into the footy, and it bobbles out. Now trying to beat two is Nankervis. He can't really get a disposal away, but the whistle's nowhere. Pedler tackle, got a handball under pressure from Stocker. Adelaide's made it work. Rochelle to Taylor. Pulls his kick to the 50. Maley edged. Wilkie into the drop. Spills out the back. Keys. Crafty. Centering to Thilthorpe. Gathers. Snaps and goals. 2 for the night for Thilthorpe. Adelaide ends St Kilda's run at just 2. Leads back to 22 points. 12-7-79. St Kilda 8-9-57. Time on the third on ABC Sport with Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco.
Well, that was just a win up at the wing. Josh Rochelle to Zach Taylor. Luke Pedler also involved. They're, funny enough, all wearing green boots, but just enormous amount of a bit like I'm calling him Moose, Aaron. You've been talking too much. Finbar, his ability to just make a contest, and then Ben Keys keeps the ball alive and Phil Thorpe gets a snap on goal, but it's not pretty. Grinding, getting the ball forward, another 1v1 spoil. Ben Keys at ground level and Riley Philthorpe gets to kick a goal, but that's just caught off guard the St Kilda defenders.
So Mitch Owens into the middle of the ground for St Kilda. Garcia, Marshall and Flanders. Marshall knocks it down. It's the advantage of Rochelle. Gets the centre clearance. Kicks up towards right half forward. Coming at it was Maley. Brought it to ground. Clever handball from Rankin. Finds Peatling, who gets a quick handball to Neil Bullen. Quick kick forward, gathered by Pedler. Stepped inside with a fake, out towards Cook. Could he do it again? Decides to set it up this time into a dangerous spot, and Philthorpe marks top of the goal square.
Cook's kicking tonight has been as impressive as we've seen. His ability to hit his forwards has been all class.
91% kicking efficiency on the night. Braden Cook.
And that's the matchup that's threatening, isn't it? The Thilthorpe v Silvani matchup. Too big, too strong, too tall on that occasion.
How's that stat line? 13 touches, 11 kicks, 6 inside 50s for Braden Cook.
And a goal.
And 511 metres gained.
Riley Philthorpe doesn't miss those. Back-to-back goals for Big Riley, and he's got 3. Crows re-established that margin of 28 points. They're 13-7-85. St Kilda 8-9-57. 24 and a half minutes gone in the third term.
Just going back to Cook, like in terms of a winger's game, his metres gains are 511. That's probably a career best. But going back to Luke Pedler, he's been in and out of this team over the last couple of years. He had a tremendous pre-season. Yes, he's missed with concussion, but he just brings a different dynamic with Rochelle being in the midfield. He's fearless, probably why he gets injured so many times. But Luke Pedler getting involved and being more consistent throughout this season is going to be a big key to if Adelaide Crows want to play finals.
They've almost got this duo of role players where you've got Rankin and Rochelle in similar roles, Berry and then Pedler, who are both those bulldozing mids, and now Charlie Edwards is the Jordan Dawson pseudo midfielder, and he's doing a good job tonight. McAndrew down on the bounce. Neil Bullen comes out of the forward line, buffeted off it by Owens. Bounce back with the ball, stands up and gives it to Berry. The fend-off gets through Sinclair, hands it to Nankervis. He can't break free. Woods all over him, and it is a throw. Free kick to St Kilda. So the Saints have it at right half back, and the crowd goes very wild for that as he moves it out through the eastern side. Marshall gets in front of Butts, traps it well on the bounce and releases Sinclair. He's racing by. Long kick towards Garcia. Michael Annie gets in front, knocked down. Jack Higgins pounces. 3 snags for Jack. And St Kilda get one back. Margins 22 points. 13-7-85 Adelaide. The Saints 9-9-63. Time on in the third on ABC Sport.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Jack Higgins, just looking at his numbers, just the 6 disposals for the game, but he's just kicked his 3rd goal. And once again, I go back to St Kilda when they can get some speed on the ball, and they've able to go inside forward 50 with not a lot of numbers in terms of density, they do look quite dangerous. And again, on that occasion, some quick ball movement, some slick ball movement, and Higgins was good enough to finish the job.
Well, Josh, that's certainly whenever they've looked like scoring is the quick ball movement. So I feel like they haven't scored well if it's been slow play. So fast transitions certainly suiting St Kilda tonight.
So Wanganeen Miller at half back, and that was clever from McAndrew. He just moved out of the way of Tom De Koning and took it out of the ruck. Clark gathers, takes on a few tacklers, gets a handball away to Wilson, steps inside. He handballed it straight to Thilthorpe. Maybe he just called his name. But Thilthorpe's kick goes straight to Stocker, and he relieves it to Hunter Clark in the back pocket.
St Kilda look vulnerable in the middle with De Koning at the moment. Just not working for them at the minute.
Hunter Clark, little 1-2 as he uses Carroll and heads up the eastern side. The Saints kicking to the left-hand side of your radio dial. Marshall the target again down the line. Fist came in. Knocked down Garcia. Mops it up. Gets it back to Marshall. Then Flanders. Across the body. Screws his kick up to right half forward. It would have been a downfield free kick anyway. But Ryan takes it. Places it in front of the scoreboard. And his check kick hits Sharman. He wanted to share it central and he might have stepped off his line there. Umpire hasn't called play on. He looked inboard, thinking about the kick to Wilson, and pulled out at the last moment. He'll now get his set shot in front of the light tower.
And once again, that speed of ball movement. Good connect inside 50. Big kick this one.
Cooper Sharman on a very tight angle. Does his best to squeeze it through. Misses to the left. Adelaide's lead is 21 points. Steve Murphy downstairs.
Yes, the Crows captain Alex Neil-Bullen getting some pretty heavy work done to his right knee as we speak. I'll keep you posted.
So bringing it in is Rory Laird. Long ball. And that one's intercepted straight away there by Wood, but Wilkie's going to get the free kick anyway. He goes short to Garcia. 60 out. Kicks long inside the forward 50 to Liam Ryan. So interesting option there. No one tall up forward for the Saints. That one will go out over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in the left forward pocket. Just one of the fans taking their time to handball it back to the umpire. And Max Michelani and Higgins are getting involved there.
That'd be two very lippy boys, Tom.
Boundary throw in. McAndrew whacks it straight towards the boundary and Wilson keeps it in. He didn't really have to. He just got it straight back to Millerer, who kicked a torpedo out of defence. Marshall did well enough for the moment for St Kilda. Back to Clark, to Silvani. And he handballs a dangerous ball back to Stocker. Rankin wraps him up. Over towards Taylor Walker. Knocks it to his advantage of his teammate in Rankin. He takes the bounce. He wants this goal, but he snaps it around the body to Keys. He just did way too much with that Rankin. He could have easily had a shot on goal. He had players streaming forward. Rochelli's got his hands in the air.
Shelley not happy.
Too much going on in the mind of Isaac Rankin. And we're going to have a boundary throw in.
You almost feel like Rank should have just given the handball Ben Keys when he had it, like just a quick 1-2, but unfortunately he's just too many tricks in the pocket.
Trying to be a good teammate, but probably could have kicked it himself. Tossed in, McAndrew down to Cook. Edwards spins out of a tackle, kicks into the 50, but misses his target. Wanganeen Miller are there.
Liked Edwards.
He looks strong.
Very good, yeah, and composed.
Just bounces through contact and rides it hard. Wanganeen Miller has got to be careful here. This is a tight kick right on the boundary line. Crab thought it went over. Carroll takes it, but his kick-in board is not 15. And now they're under pressure. Clark tackled and dropped it. Turnover. Taylor right half forward. Sends it to Rankin. Fist comes in. Hits the deck. Head over the footy. Keys 2 to beat. He lays the tackle ball up.
That's incorrect disposal.
Absolutely it is.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Because the new rule interpretation, if you try and get it out, but that's a drop ball. There's no attempt. There's no fist punch there. There's no kick.
Crows by 21 late in the third. Tap down goes the way of the Saints. Windhager across the goalface. Kick isn't perfect to Wood, but it bounces nicely. Tracks it well with Walker just casually strolling behind him. Kicks another no good one down the line. Wilson has to get there. It would have been last disposal. Did well to get it right at the last line. Hands it back to Wood, who's surging by. Long kick. Mark taken by Ryan, who's 45 out. Wants to set it up. Spots De Koning in maybe a mismatch, and he gets it. Out muscles butts. TDK at the top of the goal square. Gee, there were a few moments there that that could have really hurt St Kilda, but they made it work.
Well, I tell you what, I watched Wilson pin his ears back and take off. He absolutely out-sprinted Nankervis to create that outlet kick, and I know it sounds a bit like a broken record, but once again, they look dangerous with speed on the ball. The mark inside 50 to Koning. They're getting in the context of the game, massive kick.
Big moment on the three-quarter time siren. It was dicey, but Tom de Koning finds the right side of the goalpost. And the margin is 15 points at the final change. We are headed towards a thrilling finish. The Saints 10-10-70, Adelaide 13-7-85. Goal scorers heading into the final term: 4 to Walker, 3 to Thilthorpe. Singles to Keys, Rochelle, Cook, Rankin, Peatling and Maley. Meanwhile, for the Saints, 3 to Higgins, 2 to Butler, and singles to Owens, Tom de Koning, Wilson, Ryan and Wood. Anything can happen from here. It's been a day for it in terms of unpredictable finishes. The Suns by 9 over the Bombers. The Hawks knocked off Port by 3. What will happen here? We'll find out next on ABC Local Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen. This is Saturday Footy on ABC Sport.
Okay, ready?
Little listeners have a new space to get all their favourite podcasts.
Hooray!
Like exclusive new episodes of Bluey Listen Along.
Let's dance to celebrate!
Create a kids profile today by heading to the Kids tab on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Flying is Walker, brings it to ground. McAndrew there too. Walker again. Takes a high tackle there from Nasiah Wanganeen. Miller just poked him in the face. Got his kicking boots on in the second term with 2 goals. Can he start it hot for the Crows? He does, and he points to the fans. He's got 3, Taylor Walker. Now in the hands of Sinclair. Over the top to Wood for St Kilda at left half back. He took on that tackler. That's holding the ball right in front of the umpire.
The experienced one out there. Tex took the footy.
This is going to take a good kick, but he would have practiced plenty of these. And he's practiced plenty. And he's kicked plenty. He's fired up Taylor Walker. That's his 4th. High kick out of defence from Wilkie. Rode by Rochelle. Short ball to Neil Bullen. Not 15, says the umpire. Tackled by Flanders. Gets a quick kick away. Grabbed by Cook. He goes the banana! What a goal, Braden Cook! The check side. Oh, it's hot in the kitchen. The Crows 9 in a row.
Bond saving the day. Pretty familiar, you think? I don't think it's going to result in the option that he wanted, though. The tap down to Butler, quickly out the stoppage, kicks across the body, and Dan Butler gets his 2nd of the night.
Here's Hall looking for a target. He finds Wood 45 metres out directly on front.
That's a great kick.
Yeah. Mason Wood off the left boot. Hits that nicely, and straight up celebration. He knew straight away. So St Kilda get back-to-back goals.
Spills out the back. Keys, crafty, centering to Thilthorpe. Gathers, snaps and goals. 2 for the night for Thilthorpe. Adelaide ends St Kilda's run at just 2.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
So the bad news for Saints fans is they are now 0-6 in third terms this year. The good news is the damage wasn't disastrous. Adelaide increasing their lead from 8 at half-time to 15 at three-quarter time. It is anybody's ball game in this final term. 13-7-85 plays 10-10-70. News of the day, Sam Darcy confirmed to have ruptured his ACL, so he's out for the year for the Western Bulldogs. And the AFL has asked Carlton for a please explain once they finish their investigation into what exactly happened with Elijah Hollands on Thursday night. Earlier, Gold Coast defeating Essendon by 9 and Hawthorn knocked off Port by 3. Could we have another single-digit finish on ABC Sport? You're about to find out on ABC Local Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen. Text line tonight 0437 774 774. Aaron Bryans and Tom Wilson calling the action. Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco have been fully invested in this one. How is it going to finish, team?
Well, it was interesting that quarter when it started, and you looked at the numbers, and we quoted some of the numbers about the 10-minute mark of that third quarter. It was all Adelaide. At one stage, I think it was 9-zip or 8-zip inside 50s. They dominated all the key stats, uncontested possessions, the contested ball, the inside 50s, and then momentum swung again. So this has been a game of momentum shifts. I think Adelaide, as you said, kicked 9 unanswered goals. Then St Kilda followed up with 3. But We've definitely got a game on our hands, and the thing about St Kilda in terms of their ball movement is they look so dangerous when they get speed on the ball, particularly off half-back. It's almost impossible to stop from Adelaide's perspective, and we've mentioned it all night. When there's space inside their forward 50, their connection inside their forward 50 has been outstanding. I really think from St Kilda's perspective, they just look better when Marshall's in the ruck and De Koning is ahead of the ball. We saw him kick that goal on the three-quarter time siren. Marshall looks a lot more dominant. That quarter was 8-1 centre clearances in favour of Adelaide. They kicked 2 goals, 2 from it. So that's a huge number. They need to arrest that area of the game, and I think Marshall's the man to do it. And as we said, they don't look threatening in the air ahead of the ball, particularly when Adelaide have got numbers back, and De Koning potentially is the man that can take a contested mark. But we've definitely got a game on our hands, Ebony.
Absolutely. I mean, you took the words out my mouth, and we're going to see Marshall go into that centre bounce. De Koning's going to actually go to the bench, so they're not even going to put him forward. But like we touched on all game, I feel like St Kilda, when they've been on, they've been able to move in space, and their foot skills when they're out in space are certainly premium. We've seen that on show tonight, but I think we're going to have a battle at our hands, and how good's this? This is what you want. Like Aaron, you touched on it a little bit earlier. We've had some great games over the weekend, and this is going to be another blockbuster. We've seen both teams get real territory from the centre bounce, so I feel like, I know we probably rave on it about week in, week out, but who gains the most territory from these centre bounce clearance in this last quarter will go a long way to the end result.
And it's interesting as well, even quoting those numbers, and Wanganeen Miller is starting ahead of the ball. You'd think he'd be the one to get him going in the centre bounce and get on that loose ball with his speed, but not to be.
It's the old 8-point game. The Crows and the Saints at 2-3 to start their season. It would mean a world of good if they can get the job done tonight. It is Adelaide by 15 points. Here we go, final term on ABC Sport. Marshall commits early, McAndrew stayed down, no one got a clean tap. Hits the deck and Rochelle becomes the tackler as he holds up Max Hall on ball, and he pops up a little proppy, the Saint. Tap down from Marshall looking for Garcia, overran it. Peatling's kick smothered, bobbles out towards Hall, and again tackled this time by Miller. Another ball up just outside the centre circle. Let's see if third time's the charm. Both rucks miss, rolls towards Berry and Windhager. The latter got a boot to it, trickled its way to Cumming in the centre circle. Back to Keys, and he bangs it out of there. Up and under towards half forward. Taylor's out to meet it. Too far out to score, but one away. Taylor spots the lead and honours it. Riley Thilthorpe, full stride, straight in front, 35 out.
And you've got to feel for Silvani on that occasion. Look, there's not a lot he could have done about that, but he's fighting out of his weight division. He's a terrific defender, but once again, just the height, the presence, and the aerial mark and contest from Thilthorpe was outstanding.
And just another one of those kids that we've seen come in and out of their shell is Zach Taylor. We've seen him do some nice things, kick a few goals last week, but that's a premium kick inside 50.
Looking for an early blow to the Saints' comeback. Riley Thilthorpe from 35 fades left late, and it's a minor score. Crows by 16, start of the fourth term on ABC Sport.
Wanganeen Miller had taken the kick in. He started forward.
He did.
He's been given licence to go anywhere, I think.
I think that's what they're doing with him, Josh. Wanganeen Miller kicks up the line but misses the target. Peatling read it better. In front of Garcia, takes the intercept mark. 80 from goal. Wheels around on his right boot. Sends that one back in and long towards Thilthorpe. Through the legs of Neil Bullen. Roved by Keys on the non-preferred right. Misses away to the left. Minus score, 13-9, 87, 10-10, 70.
He started on Wayne Miller as well. So he's now +1 for Adelaide behind the footy. So who's going to have the most influence?
So Wanganeen Miller to Sinclair at left half back. Running to the right-hand side of your radio dial. Flanders kicks through the eastern side, straight down the throat of Worrell. Gets in front of Owens with ease. Does step off his line though. And now they close in. Has to get out of dodge and kicks back towards Butts. Return from his concussion. Feels like he's going to be entrenched in this 23 until Mark Keane's available. Butts through the logo looking for Walker. Coming late in front is Wanganeen Miller. He's just everywhere at the moment. Free rein. Gathers the footy and is quickly set upon. Ball up to come, true centre wing, eastern side.
Sort of question, you'd be watching that match up pretty closely. If you're letting him run around doing what he wants, he is the architect for St Kilda.
Marshall takes it out of the ruck, kicks it forward.
But this is the downside. They've got the +1 behind the ball and can launch an attack off that.
Yeah, Nick Murray took that mark and launch they do. Out towards left half back and Bonds. St Kilda did well there. So they're going to force a switch. Out to Worrell, right half back. Short ball out wide to Taylor. Defensive side of centre wing, no one on the mark. So he can move at ease. Yes. Takes the advice from Ebony Marinoff. One bounce. Kicks up towards right half forward. Couple of one-on-ones there. Wilkie wins out. Brings it to ground. Handballs to Flanders. And handballs to Marshall. Handballs to Wilkie. Trying to get some run. Here they go. Darcy Wilson on the wing. Max Hall's an option, so he kicks up high towards Higgin. He's got 2 to beat. Kept his feet, though, brought it to ground. Could he get it out? Not quite. Bond did well to Shepherd, so Butts could get it. But he kicked it straight to Nasiah Wanganeen Miller. 1-2. Snap from 45. Hits the post. That would have been a special moment from the Saints superstar. Minor score 10-11-71. Adelaide 13-9-87.
He's already had the 5 disposals, Wanganeen Malera, so certainly having a say at the start of this fourth quarter.
Downside is the Saints don't really have a tall target up forward, and when they've already got the outnumber against them because of Naz, going inside 50 is a little dicey. Wayne Miller uses Josh Worrell, who plays on. His kick is smothered by Cooper Sharman at left half back for the Crows. Boundary throw in.
I reckon that discussion would be happening in the Adelaide Crows coaching box. What do we do with Wanganeen Miller? Do we let him just run right, run loose? I'm not sure that's the answer either.
Tossed in. Falcon Owens in the ruck contest, but it bounced straight to Sinclair. Fortuitously into the 50. Ryan with the hops. Didn't get high enough on the drop. Knocked out of there by Butts, but straight to Wilson. Gobbles it up. Snaps from 15, and the Saints get one back. Darcy Wilson with 2 for the night, and the margin is just 10 points. You can feel the nervous energy at the Adelaide Oval. The Saints 11-11-77. The Crows 13-9-87. We've still got 16 to go in this final term on ABC Sport.
Just fumbly by the Adelaide Crows, but credit to St Kilda. They're lively. They're winning the first ball, the first possession, and they're on their feet. And yeah, that's as clean as you get. And Adelaide Crows look nowhere near even pressuring that ball.
Well, this is the other thing as well. And you talk about Wanganeen Miller. I know we're spending a lot of time talking about him. At the moment, Wayne Miller is on him. This might be the chance or the time to put Michael Annie back onto him and run around with him everywhere. He's got the wheels to go with him because you just can't let Naz run around unlicensed.
McAndrew takes it out of the ruck against De Koning. Handball straight to Berry, who takes a bounce, and De Koning goes down in the background. Long ball inside the 50 from Berry, fisted down to ground. Leading in the foot race is Neil Bullen, but Sinclair ensures that it goes out over the boundary line.
Once again in the ruck, De Koning for St Kilda. They just look vulnerable.
But McAndrew looks like he's outsmarting him now. Yeah. Throughout the game, he's just actually holding his timing and then winning the ball.
Boundary throw in near the left behind post. Crows up by 10 points. Deep in their 50. McAndrew, clever again, knocks it down towards Rankin, who spins, gets a quick kick away, not enough on it. Ball in dispute. Sinclair handballs to Nasiah Wanganeen Miller. That's a dangerous kick out of defence towards the boundary line at right half forward for Adelaide. Cook runs onto it, sells some candy, looking for a target in Neil Bullen. Braden Cook is having a night. Neil Bullen will have a shot from 30 out, right in front of the scoreboard.
That's just poised by Cook, and something that we probably sit here and say that Adelaide Crows have been after over the last couple of years. Just brilliant foot skills, and Alex Neil-Bullen looked like he was a little bit hampered with that knee. He's a little bit patched up, but hopefully he finishes this one.
We had a shot from here before and ended up in the lap of Maley. This one's a bit straighter, but across the face of goal for a minus score. So 13-10-88 the Crows. The Saints 11-11-77. 7.5 minutes gone, final term.
The Miller one worries me.
Quick exit from the Saints up to the centre square, and under a bit of pressure, Stocker gives it away. Tackled, turnover. Rankin back to Neil Bullen. Checks the kick, looking for Keys. Just skids past him, and it will be a last disposal free. It was weird in that play before when Nasiah Wanganeen Miller had tried to get it out of defensive 50 before the Neil Bullen shot at goal. There was 17 of their 18 guys in the left forward pocket, the Saints. There's just no room to go to once they actually win the footy. Right half back. Wood too casual with his kick to De Koning. He waited, and Charlie Edwards cuts across. The kid from Sandhurst into the 50. Well-placed pass and finds the Moose. Finbar Maley, 45 out. He'll hand it off. Charlie Edwards on debut, pulls the trigger and misses to the right. That would have been a moment, and instead it's Adelaide by a flat 2 goals. 13-11-89 to 11-11-77. 8 played final term.
Would have brought the house down, no doubt about that. Wilkie plays on from the kick-in up towards centre wing. Flying is Owens. Roving is Windhager. Kicks it to space. Important one-on-one here with Sharman. Cleverly knocks it out in front of Marshall, who can move well for a big ruckman. Handballs it off to Brad Hill. Looking for a target inside 50. He finds Butler. He dropped a sitter in front of Millerer. He would have had a shot 25 out. And it falls in the lap of Millerer, who gets it to Rankin. That's a costly drop mark. The Butler dropped it. Out towards Max Michelini at right half back.
Talk about silver service as well.
Oh, talk about it, Josh.
That's the one, isn't it? Those critical moments in games. Just had to mark it, go back and kick the goal, but wow.
Crows by 12. Michelini uses Edwards, takes his time and bangs it long to the eastern side. Looking for Thilthorpe. He edges Silvani forward of the drop. Rolls out the back. Wanganeen Millerer trying to dance his way away from Zach Taylor. Did well. Got it across to Carroll. Here come the Saints on the overlap counterpunch. Windhager gives it to Sinclair. Blasts it into the 50. Sharman out the back. Takes it and tumbles it through. Gee, that was quick turnover footy from the Saints. And it's just a goal now. Adelaide 13-11-89. St Kilda 12-11-83. The Saints have the only 2 goals of the final term. And it is game on at the Adelaide Oval.
Well, Wanganeen Millerer has had 8 disposals. He's been involved in every score that St Kilda... Josh, we keep hampering on it, but if you're Adelaide Crows and you want to win this game... But where he hasn't really had the influence that he's had over the 3 quarters. Is this Ross Lyon just understanding the game and where it's at and just going, here's the keys, do what you want and win us the game?
Well, it's interesting. Matthew Nicks can sit up there and assess, is his touches or are his touches having more influence than having a +1 behind the ball? He's the player they have to stop. He's the architect of everything. So they need to shut him down and run with him. They can't let him run right because, as you said, 2 score involvements this quarter.
McAndrew knocks it down towards Barry. Boxall in his back.
It just worries me that, again, sorry, Tom, that Wayne Millerer lets Wanganeen Millerer go free to the stoppage and there's no one on him.
And free at the stoppage.
Yeah.
So a high ball, not the required journey. Wood grabs it, though. He's able to get something on it. Kicks it up towards centre half forward. Ball bounces around. Michelini took on the tacklers. Dangerous handball back towards Bond. He dropped it. Play on, says the umpire. Edwards, quick kick around the body. 2 hands on it, Windhager. Now Hunter Clark. Handballs over the top to Hill. Somehow got it to Windhager. He's just trying to get it to sit. Kicks it inside the forward 50. Not to the advantage of Owens, but they'll take a forward 50 stoppage every day of the week. Out over the boundary line next to the right behind post. They only trail by 6 points, the Saints. They've got the only 2 goals of this final term. 11 and a half minutes gone in this last term for ABC Sport.
45,000 in the house. Saints were up by as much as 26, then down by as much as 28. Now it's a 1-kick game. Tossed in, tapped down. Brad Hill hooks it around the body. Scores are level. What a comeback it's been from the Saints. Brad Hill, the veteran, understood the positioning and gets it off the tap of McAndrew. Sharped, snapped and gold. And it is level at 89 apiece. 13-11 both sides. 12 played final term on ABC Sport. Ebony Marinoff, Josh Franco, your experts.
Well, it was interesting watching that boundary throw-in unfold. Most of the players were on the 50. Obviously, that was a set play to draw numbers out of the stoppage and allow a Hill to run through, space to move into, and that was almost textbook in terms of the take off the stoppage and then the ability under immense pressure to finish off. I'll tell you what, St Kilda at the moment, they are all over the Crows. Over them.
Kick the last 5 goals of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
To bring it level. I love footy.
Looks like Michelini's now got the job on Miller. We'll keep an eye on that.
McAndrew knocked it down. Socket off the deck by Peatling. Gathered there by Pedler was clean. Back to Berry. Gets it on the left boot up towards left half forward, but was pushed as he kicked and Wood took the intercept mark. Dangerous ball to centre half back to Clark, but he hits the target. He goes to Hill. Umpire says not 15, so Miller tackles Hill there, and we'll have a ball up at centre half back. 3 great games today. The Suns held on to beat the Bombers by 10, and Hawthorn beat the Power by 3 points. We're all square in the final term at Adelaide Oval.
Isn't it crazy that it's taken them 6 or 7 minutes to get Michaelini on Wangali Malera? I find that astonishing.
McAndrew down, Hunter Clark sandwiched, ball pops out to Rankin, flying shot quickly off a step, heads towards the goal square and bounces right. It will be a boundary
Like you'd
throw-in.
argue that the damage has almost been done.
I agree, Ebony. I think you talk about, I use that word, the architect of everything that's going on. The momentum swung off the back of him being able to influence the game. And look, we'll see how this game unfolds and who wins it, but it could be a defining moment in the game.
Scores level, both these sides 2 and 3 in the season. Tossed in, Adelaide's 50, Marshall down, tackle late on Garcia, gave it away. Charlie Edwards, the check side, it's all the way across the goal face. He's had some chances to really take over, and instead it's a free kick to the Saints' right back pocket with scores level at 89 apiece.
That and missed opportunities as well. Sorry, Tom.
Flanders plays on. It'll be a big question for Matthew Nicks after the game, won't it? Regardless of the result, I think.
Well, again, now, momentum's with St Kilda. Even if Wanganeen Miller is not touching it, they've got momentum there, and they're looking ominous ahead of the footy.
So Flanders took his time and then goes long towards Sharman. He was pushed under it by Nick Murray. Boxall's 1 on 3. Keeps the ball in dispute. Darcy Wilson's there as well. Lays a tackle on Cook. Play on, says the umpire.
Lifted their pressure, St Kilda.
Play on call was incorrect by me because that was holding the footy against Cook. So Darcy Wilson from the logo, outer side of the ground, up towards left half forward. Marshall takes the contested grab. 45 out, 45-degree angle, left half forward.
Where have we seen that all night? We haven't, have we? I'm just looking through the numbers, and Rowan Marshall, he is a hugely influential player, but how many marks has he taken?
23 touches he's had.
He's taken 4 marks, but that's probably the most critical one that he's taken all night. And again, you talk context of the game. This is a huge kick. This is massive.
So it'll take a kick of 50. Playing as the number 1 ruck tonight, and an opportunity to put St Kilda in front. He's got the distance. He's pushed it away to the right. He's missed everything.
Oh, yuck.
Not even a handy point. Wow. That could prove costly. Missing the big sticks in every possible way. And the Crows will bring it back. Still level 89 apiece.
We cannot break the deadlock. It's been stuck this way for 5 minutes. Miller a short pass inbound. Here's Taylor. What a run. It's been our Bond, rather, who has it. So Saints kicked 5 goals either side of quarter time. Adelaide had 9 in response, and now the Saints are on a 5-goal run here to level proceedings in the final term. Miller gets it back. Kick had to be pinpoint. Uses Peatling. Couple of players were there. Wanganeen Miller understands and stands. Peatling back. Murray. All alone in defensive 50. An eternity to think about what to do. Heads to the eastern side. Probably wasn't the best choice. Butts had 2 to beat. Flies early as well. Now there's 3 of them. And he gets in there. Butts to get it out to Worrell. Hands it to Edwards. Jordan Butts puts the motors on. Runs through the eastern side. Into the 50. Finbar can't take it. Hits the deck. Pendler brought down without it. Tried to tow it out of there as Thilthorpe. Tackle laid. It'll be held up. 25 out. Finbar Maley gets a hold of Mason Wood. Ball up quickly. Adelaide's 50. Scores level 89 apiece. Final quarter on ABC Sport. Marshall down. Slips through the midst of Windhager. In there is Flanders. Loops the handball out of traffic. Gets it to Wilson. Tight line. Tries to use Windhager. He turns and walks it over. And will be tossed in. 45 out.
Smartly done there by St Kilda. I think they were happy to get that out, and knowing it was inside the arc, they could. 13-11 apiece. 17.5 minutes gone in the final term. Got an epic here at Adelaide Oval. Crows v St Kilda. Maley knocks it down. It's at right half forward. Rochelle goes to work. Michaelani there too. Fishes it out to Rankin, who kicks a banana kick away to the right-hand side. That's a minus score. So the Crows retake the lead with a handy point. 13-12-90. St Kilda 13-11-89. 18 minutes gone.
Josh Rochelle yet to have a disposal in this fourth quarter. He's had 18 and about 8 score involvements throughout the games, and Adelaide Crows fans need him involved
Hoisted over Benny Marinoff, Sinclair to Wilkie, then Hill, now Marshall through the eastern side. The Saints, kick mark, go. Wilson to Sinclair, long entry into the 50, big fist from Murray, thumps it out of there, all the way to Cook at right half back. Good landing. Here's Bond, around the body, Finbar looks for the slips catch, Maley slides in and they're going to pay it to him.
I've liked his game.
He has stood up in some really pivotal moments.
Yeah, critical moments. He's been terrific.
He's right in front of the Williams stand right now. It's Adelaide by a point. Maley, gee, that's an ugly kick. Kicked it straight into Marshall. Ricochets towards Hill. Tackle laid on Botchell. On hands and knees, got the handball out. Left behind by Carroll, and it will be a boundary throw in. True centre wing. Eastern side, Adelaide by a point.
I guess from Adelaide's point of view, and the supporters will be thankful they've at least clamped Wanganeen Miller's influence in this quarter. He started with 8, he's still stuck on 8. With Michael Annie going on to him.
Boundary throw in. Marshall v. Maley. Knocks it down towards Windhager. Front spot was Edwards. Dropped it. Play on, says the umpire. Roved by Laird. Handballs towards Peatling. He's running through true centre wing. Outer side. His kick inside the forward 50 was chopped off there by Wilkie. He's so good at that. This is dangerous. But Clark did so well. That was a contested mark and a defensive kick. He marked it 20 metres from the Crows' goal, but he did so well. Brought it out of defence. First it went to Wilson. Now Flanders back to Hill, right half back. Kicks down the line. Flying Ryan thought about it. Rankin's behind the ball. What's he doing there? Got the handball back to Butts. Out towards Bond to Rankin, who kicks a high ball around the body. Wood sitting under it. So too Neil Bullen did enough to cause the spoil. Roved by Nankervis. Up the line. Up towards Pedler. Couldn't complete the mark, but he won the free kick. And Pedler has it 65 from goal at left half forward for the Crows.
Noffy's calling for it. Go, Luke, go. They're up by a point. Pedler at left half forward. Doesn't realise the urgency. Sends it eventually into the 50. Pedler pops it up. Top of the goal square. Philthorpe's there. Fist came in. Ben Keys! He's lurking dangerously. Gathers. Check side in front of goal. He has 2. And Adelaide's up by 7. That is a big moment for a senior leader. 14-12-96. Adelaide leads St Kilda 13-11-89. Time on final term. Adelaide by 7. Ebony Marinoff and Josh Ranko.
Well, Luke Pedler's kicked. He waited a little bit. Again, just a nice crumb by Ben Keys, but that was Riley Philthorpe and Taylor Walker. I can't really see which one impacted that marking contest, but that's what you ask of your forwards, your small forwards. Ben Keys, just at the flight of those balls. That's an excellent finish. And like you touched on, Aaron, Ben Keys hasn't had the season he's after, but a senior leader needs to step up for Adelaide fans, and he certainly did in that moment.
Tell you what, he's been a player, hasn't he, for Adelaide? He's not your typical orthodox, silky, smooth, sort of small forward, but he just finds a way to get things done, doesn't he? Kicked a couple of goals tonight, and much needed goal for the Crows.
Marshall knocks it down. Hall's in the middle of the ground. Rove that nicely. Kicks inside the forward 50. Towards a target in Filippo. Knocked down. Ryan just ran over the top of it. Worrell did well. Gets a handball away. Kicks out of defence. Marshall is flying. Knocks it back towards centre half forward. But Garcia fumbled on the half volley. Peatling chucked it on the boot. It went sideways. It went backwards, actually. Wanganeen Miller is there. He's trying to gather. Had some company in Max Michaelani, who's put the clamp on him. And Neil Bullen tackled out over the boundary line. Not holding the ball, just out of bounds in time by Wood.
Thought he did it well. Neil Bullen, he was going for the line. He found it. Could have potentially been paid insufficient intent, but camouflaged it well.
Boundary throw in right half forward for St Kilda. They trail by 7 points. 22 minutes gone in the final term.
45,854. Riding every moment. Tossed in right half forward for the Saints. Marshall down. Garcia gets it to Wood. Off the step. Places it top of the goal square. No one's really there. Bounces wide left. Higgins shoots the handball back to Owens. He's under pressure. Spun in the tackle. Gives it away. Butts to Pedler. Marches into the footy with traffic coming the other way. Sidesteps the trouble and uses Taylor Walker at right half back. They want to go here. They realise the Saints had flooded forward. Walker over the top looking for a Shelley, and a desperate fist from Clark knocks it over the boundary line. Shout out to Dave on the text line, who went early in the quarter. Apologies to you, Dave. Said the Saints will try but fall short, and the Crows will fly higher. Maybe he's got the right prediction. They're up by 7 at the moment.
Just going back to that I guess, win by Luke Pedler. His dash, he's explosive. It was really impressive to see him just gain territory for that Adelaide Crows there.
Marshall knocked it down, but Laird roved it. Sweeping handball to Taylor, was tackled, though, as he kicked it, fell in the lap of Darcy Wilson. Back to Flanders in the left back pocket. Didn't have any options across the ground, so goes back down the line. Marshall flies, Maley spoils, and Zach Taylor runs it out over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in. 75 metres from Adelaide's goal, outer side of the ground. They're up by 7 points. It's a bit over 5 minutes to go in this final term for ABC Sport.
Tough contest there, but that's where you'd love to see Rowan Marshall from St Kilda's point of view just clunk it and release the pressure.
How good is footy? Single-digit margins all day. Tossed in. Marshall didn't have it. Pulled away by McAndrew. Play continues. Towed forward through centre wing by the Saints. Butts gathers. Quickly tackled. Got it out. Miller throws his body in and bounces off Ryan. Trickles the Saints' way. Hot handball. Comes out. Owens gets it to Wanganeen Miller. Tumbles it to Jack Higgins. He's there fortuitously in a paddock. Gathers, turns and goals. 4 for Jack. And the Saints bring it back to a point again. 24 played, final term, 14-12-96. Adelaide plays 14-11-95. We're not done yet, and it's on a little bit as well in the Saints 50. Michael Annie entangled with Garcia, who have to be separated, and Nasiah Wanganeen Miller is going to march to full forward.
Yep.
Could he do it again and be the hero?
He was involved again.
Yeah, absolutely he was. And just watching some of the behind-the-play stuff, Michael Annie's obviously getting under his skin because he's pushing and shoving and lost his cool a couple of times. But talk about threatening positions to be in. Wanganeen Miller a one-on-one out of the goal square. Good luck,
How's
Michael
Higgins'
Annie.
space he was allowed there?
Well, he just read the play and rolled the dice and ran forward to the play. But you're right.
Read it better than anyone else.
He did.
1 point margin at Adelaide Oval. The Crows lead. Back in the middle of the ground, Hall does it again for St Kilda with the clearance inside the forward 50, more towards right half forward. Sharman brings it to the ground. Laird read it best. Handball to Cook. He took on Wood, the tackler. Put him under pressure. Philippou gathers. Owens handballs over the top to Wood. He knocked it to him. Volleyball style. Sharman with the banana. Wow, that would have been some goal. That was clever. Couldn't finish it, but scores are locked up. 14-12 apiece here at Adelaide Oval. 25 and a half minutes gone. What a game we have.
Almost the Cook mark too, wasn't it?
Straight down the middle goes Worrell to the centre square. It clears everybody and bounces straight to Clark. But that's because Thilthorpe was edged under the drop. Free kick. He wants to move it quick. Up to left half forward. Keys the target. Knocked away by Windhager. Tumbles its way towards the paint of 50. Windhager just can't control it. Rochelle can. Draws a couple and releases Neil Bullen, who marches to 45. Neil Bullen misses. A dribbler across the body to the left. It's Adelaide by a point.
If they can get some speed on the ball here, St Kilda, I'm looking inside forward 50. Miller versus Michael Annie, and he's got about 70 metres to work into.
Cool. It's scary, isn't it?
It's Pagan's paddock.
Yeah, it is.
The old 90s, as if it's Wayne Carey back there. Long kick out. Owens knocks it forward. Foot race on between Stocker and Berry. Berry did well. Got some support from Laird. Handballed it to him. Back to Berry. They're at left half back. Adelaide throws it on the left boot. One-on-one contest here. Windhager, Rochelle. Alex Neil-Bullen helps now. Silvani too. Overruns the footy. Ball in dispute on the logo. Players dive in. We'll have a ball up. 3 minutes to go here at Adelaide Oval. The Crows lead it by a point.
Almost needed a stoppage there, Tom.
This is awesome. Tap down. McAndrew was looking for Cook. Hall cut it off. Knocked it to Flanders. Tackled by Keys. Holding the ball.
Big play that.
It is because of the attempt. I feel like there was a genuine attempt there. But it is incorrect to spot. Oh, well, can't really see, can we? The hand. Yeah, that's a tough call.
Got a corky out of it, but he earned that footy, Ben Keys. Adelaide inside 50. Flying early was Wood. Off hands. Taylor to Walker! The Texan turns to the hill and celebrates as 1-5 for their all-time leading goal scorer. There is no one else you'd want with the game on the line. And with a leadership void, the Texan has stood up tonight. It is Adelaide by a 7-point lead, 15-13, 103. St Kilda 14-12, 96. 27 gone final term. The Texan, the Lone Ranger in the clutch.
That's on his left.
Phenomenal.
Like, that's just... whoa.
The other thing I'd be doing if I'm St Kilda now, I'm putting Wanganeen Miller in the middle of the ground. If Michael Annie wants to go with him, go for it. He's not in his natural habitat, Michael Annie, around the centre bounce stoppage, but you need some run and dash from Miller, but he's caught deep inside their forward 50.
Charlie Edwards in this centre bounce. I mean, this is what you dream about on your debut in such a tight game.
Oh, no. What
And
happened there?
a 6-6-6 penalty against St Kilda, and clearly they've stuffed it up already tonight because it's going the way of the Crows. Kick inside 50s, rowed by Windhager. Kick down the line towards Owens. Butts wins the one-on-one contest. Defensive side of the logo. Big moment for the Crows. 29 minutes gone in this final term. They lead it by 7 points.
Butts up to left half forward. Throw a blanket over them as it comes down. Wood got hands to it. Front square. Cook with a beautiful blind turn and spears it to Walker again. Taylor Walker has understood the assignment tonight. Blanketed early by Wilkie, and with his back against the wall, without his star skipper, he has stood up.
That was brilliant from Walker. Teammates were streaming forward, calling for the footy, but just had the presence of mind to just take
the full 30.
Yeah, take your 30, take a breath. And these are the ones he normally kicks as well.
It has been an emotional week for the Crows, but under tough circumstances, Taylor Walker has stood up. His kick is across the face and shallow. Didn't quite get that. Lands flat in the lands of Sharman. Saints have to go.
Has to be perfect for them. 1 minute to go. Up towards the wing. Marshall's in front of McAndrew. Touches. Goes over the boundary line in front of the two benches.
That's where St Kilda have been dangerous all night, on turnover, on the counter-attack, to be able to get speed on the ball, but well done from Adelaide to force the boundary throw-in.
30 minutes gone in this final term. Adelaide leading by 7 points. Can they hold on? Go back-to-back, boundary throw-in. Sharked out of it was Berry. Then he lays a big tackle. Play on, says the umpire. Rochelle grabs it, wrapped up by two Saints.
Gee whiz, they're rolling the dice here, Saints. All running forward, looking for the big hit forward.
Marshall v. McAndrew knocks it down to Berry. He's wrapped up by two St Kilda players. They're pretty happy with this, though.
Yep.
With time ticking down. Almost 31 minutes gone. Adelaide up by 7 points.
Marshall down. Here come the Saints out of the stoppage. Halder Hill gets through the tackle of Keys. His handball bounces perfectly to Sinclair. Sets it up 30 from home. They need a mark. Big fist from Cumming. Trickles down towards Stocker. Loses his feet. Tackled. They come in screaming for a free and they won't get it. Ball up, 20 out.
The fumble from Stocker. That was a goal gone begging there for the Saints. Big moment.
The Saints need a miracle in the city of Churches. They've got to get a goal here out of the stoppage. Down 7. McAndrew down, waiting there. Owens gets it, kicks and goals. We're going to the wire. You can hear a pin drop at the Adelaide Oval. They are devastated.
Well, can I just say as well, sorry, Aaron, put Wanganeen Miller in the middle of the ground. Don't leave him forward.
Crows by a point. 10 seconds to go, and this is where St Kilda does its best work.
Oh, no. Is this Melbourne all over again?
There won't be an infringement for a 6-6-6 this time, surely.
Interested to see as well if they sent Michael Annie in the middle. No, they haven't, so they're backing the guys in, the Rochelle, Berry, and the young fella, the first gamer in Edwards. But, wow, this is a big play. The forwards for St Kilda are all dragging them forward. Even the midfielder is that Windhager, who's pulled right out from the centre bounce circle.
He's essentially at centre half forward.
Yeah.
It's a running race.
So in the middle of the ground, McAndrew knocks it down to Berry. Handballs to Rochelle. He kicks over the top. They're going to ruffle it there with Rankin. The time kicks down, kicks inside the forward 50. Philthorpe runs onto it. The goal won't count, but they get the 4 points. A Saturday night thriller at Adelaide Oval. It's been an emotional week. And the Crows get the win for the Dawson family.
We're courageous, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes. Admiration of the nation.
A cracking game of footy to finish our epic triple header. The Saints were up by 20 at quarter time and had kicked 5 unanswered goals either side of the first change. Adelaide with a heavy response. 9 unanswered goals either side of half time. They led by 15 at the final change, and the Saints brought it down to the wire. That late goal from Mitch Owens making it a point, and Adelaide with the final stoppage win 15-13 103 to 15-12 102. Taylor Walker with 4 goals on the night, 5 on the night I should say, and yeah, an incredible week where Adelaide has been able to turn all of its pain into a very powerful response. They rise as one and win by a point at the Adelaide Oval. They come together as a community, the Adelaide Crows faithful. They knew what it meant to them for their season, for their skipper, for their football club. And the Adelaide Crows with some big outs and some fresh faces get the job done against a very gallant St Kilda who moved to 2-4, and the Crows 3-3 in 2026. Adelaide's now won 15 of the last 17 against St Kilda. But gee, it was a line ball finish there. Ebony Marinoff, Josh Franco, what did you make of it?
Wow, that's a good finish for football. If you're Crows fans, you're ecstatic. If you're St Kilda, I really feel like in that first quarter, St Kilda should have been, 3-4 goals. I just feel like they didn't take their chances when they had all momentum and more. But that last quarter, the way that Wangley Malera took that upon himself and set him, assert herself on the game was as impressive. And you talk about why he's a $2 million man, and that's why. I know they didn't win, but it's almost like the Nick Dacos last quarter earlier on in the week. I just feel like he just needs a few more cattle around him.
Well, interestingly enough, I'd like to go back and look at the timeline of that last quarter, but he had 8 disposals in the first 10 minutes. And then
8 or so, because I'm thinking, how is it taking them so long to get someone on him?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then he ended up with 11 for the quarter, so Michael Annie ended up clamping him. They ended up putting Wanganeen Miller forward and didn't have a lot of influence. But I guess from a coaching move, Ross Lyon, where the Wanganeen Miller has just called it himself, it was nearly the deal breaker for Adelaide. And as we said, he inserted himself in the game.
It changed all momentum.
Amount of influence. It did, absolutely, it did. And I think another one of the key moves from St Kilda's point of view was putting Marshall in the centre bounce. I thought he was outstanding as well, and started to get the St Kilda mids first look at it. I think in the third quarter the Crows were 8-1 centre bounce clearances for 2 goals 2, and it was 2-3. So St Kilda lost by 1 in that last quarter. But interestingly as well, and I know sides practice those match-winning scenarios all the time, and they spend a lot of time practicing it, reviewing it. I just can't help but think, and I'd like to have another look at it, but that last centre bounce, I thought St Kilda were probably just a little bit too aggressive. Was it still 19 seconds? Or 18, or 17? 10. Oh, 10 was it? Okay. No, that's probably a little bit different.
No, it was 19.
Was it?
Yeah, 19 seconds. Yeah.
It's still a long time, so I thought potentially they were a little bit too aggressive with that. It was almost, you got to hit it, win it. If you didn't, you lost it. But I guess they still had to roll the dice and they had to score.
Well, we saw numerous of times with both teams tonight when they were able to gain that centre bounce clearance. Yeah. It was full, forward territory. So, and even with the Adelaide Crows, I mean, that was a running race that, you had 5 forwards across the 50. But I feel like, your Braden Cooks, Zach Taylor had a few good moments as well. It was almost like the next generation had their skill sets on show tonight for the Adelaide Crows. There was just a couple of key, crucial moments that their skills stood out.
Well, the other thing as well, I guess, where St Kilda would be ruining their, I wouldn't say opportunities, but patches in the game where Adelaide kicked 9 unanswered goal, which, and again, they talk about scenarios, and having been involved at AFL clubs, there's momentum swings within games, but you can't concede 9 goals in a row. But then on the flip side of that, St Kilda were able to kick 5 in a row. So the momentum swings within games, and it just shows you in the modern game you can kick goals, but and quick goals and change and swing momentum. I think the other thing from Adelaide's perspective, and I no doubt that Matthew Nicks will be asked about it in the press conference, but their starts continue to be a worry. and I think you mentioned it, Ebony, as well, that St Kilda probably should have been further ahead. They absolutely dominated. They dominated the Crows in that first quarter. There were signs where it was like, wow, these guys haven't woken up yet. They haven't actually arrived at Adelaide Oval to play. But to their credit, they were able to turn the game around, and luckily enough for Adelaide and their supporters, they were able to hang on for a 1-point victory.
It's been the midfield when they've started slow.
Yeah.
And I know I touched on it earlier in the game, but when you're having those hackball kicks and allowing Wilkie and the likes of Sinclair to dictate the game because there's no real help from the midfield nor on the other end, when St Kilda looked, they were out on their feet, the Crows defenders, and St Kilda's ball movement when they were quick and they were fast was so effective, but just not able to, I guess, get the scoreboard pressure in the first quarter. And again, St Kilda, credit to them to be able to come back and make it a game. But I just feel like on that fourth quarter, that coaching, whatever that may be, that changed all momentum for the St Kilda. They had all momentum in that first period of the fourth quarter, and if that was tables changed, I feel like Adelaide Crows had all momentum to kind of, win by 3-4 goals, but yet it was a 1-point win in the end.
Thoughts of Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco. They're with you for the next 40 minutes, so get in touch, 0437 774 774. Adelaide winners by a point. They're making the most of the celebrations as well after a very difficult week in the state of South Australia. Just quickly before we head into the rooms, Taylor Walker caught up with Fox very quickly after the post-game. Here's what he had to say about the week.
It's been a pretty challenging week for our footy club again, and for Dawes and his family. So it's pretty special to be able to come out here and get the 4 points and win by a point. Yeah, as I said, it's been a real challenging week for our footy club, and I think when things like this happen in life, Kath, that the best places to be is footy clubs. We've got amazing people. We've got an amazing amount of care and support, and we're going to wrap our arms around Dawson, Millie, and Tony Marion and Chloe, his sister, for a long time, and it'll be nice to get the skipper back when he's ready. So yeah, this is for all the Dawson family.
So well said, Tex. It was heartbreaking but also heartwarming at the 12-minute mark in that first quarter when you had 45,000 Adelaide Crows fans and even the Saints fans standing up and applauding the Dawson family. That was pretty special, wasn't it?
We're in an industry that no matter what footy club you play at, we wrap our arms around everyone and we're able to show so much support. So yeah, it's a pretty special moment, and as I said, that's one for the Dawson family.
It's a win that can galvanise a group. We'll talk about it in the post-game, but, echoes of the Phil Walsh showdown and what that win meant to the footy club and what they've been able to pull off tonight without their skipper under tragic circumstances. The Adelaide Crows winners in a tight finish by a point against the Saints, and they're making their way down the race to celebrate down in the rooms at the Riverbank Stand end. 15-13, 103 Adelaide to St Kilda's 15-12, 102. Waiting down in the rooms for their arrival is Steve Murphy, who's in amongst the action. What's it like down there, Steve?
It's very loud now all of a sudden because the players are just about to walk through the crowd here, so they look very happy, not surprisingly.
Just seeing some emotions as Riley Philthorpe embraces Matty Nix down the tunnel as well. All the family in present as well, and we saw earlier as part of the pre-game and during the tribute to the Dawson family during the game that Jordan is here, and I'm sure he would have been really grateful for what the fans were able to do tonight and what his football team was able to accomplish on the park as well as they get ready for the song down the rooms. And gee, it looks like a packed house, Noffy.
Oh, absolutely. And footy's great, isn't it? You see all those boys that have kids, and
okay, if you want.
That's just the best part of this, I reckon.
Let's head back down to Steve for the song.
It's about to happen. Charlie Edwards is being drenched in Powerade, as you would expect. I reckon about 12 bottles worth. And we're just putting headphones now on someone's child. I think they've been handing it around. All right, here we go. Here comes the song.
Respected by our folks. Admiration of the nation, our determination to come shots with pride of South Australia with the mighty Adelaide Crows.
Charlie Edwards looks the drenched man in the middle of that song. Adelaide winners by a point in a thriller at the Adelaide Oval. We'll get some reaction in the rooms very shortly with Steve. Plenty of post-game to unpack. It was a pretty epic day of footy. We started over at Carrara with the Suns winners over the Bombers by 9. Headed our way to Docklands where the Hawks held off Port Adelaide by 3. And then tonight the Saints nearly pipped the Crows at the death. And ultimately Adelaide win the final clearance of the game and hold on to win by a point here at the Adelaide Oval. 0437 774 774 the text line tonight. And shout out to you, Dave, who went early in the fourth quarter, said Adelaide will get it done, and they ended up doing just that. Noffy, we spoke a little bit in the pre-game about how hard of a week it's been for the footy club. How do you feel when you see them win a game like that, given they're 2-3 walking in, they don't have their skipper? The season's a long one, but maybe this is the catalyst that gets them going. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like going into this game, you didn't think that Dawson was going to play, but you just never know. And I feel like we touched on it pre-game in terms of what both teams. It's so early on in the season, but I feel like if you're not winning this one, especially where Adelaide Crows have dropped a couple that maybe they could have, they've only lost by 6 or so points. I feel like this was real crucial. It's a home game. We know that Adelaide Crows play well at home, and now they go up to the Gabba next week and play Brisbane Lions, which is always a task. I think someone during the week said it's almost like going and playing Collingwood at the G. But I think the fact that Dawson went into the rooms pre-game, I feel like that would have been an uplifter, as sad as and emotional that may have been for the boys who actually hadn't seen them all week. Get a little bit of belief. I mean, Dawson's carried this team so many times. We've seen numerous of, match-winning, either it's a goal or a moment from Dawson. And you've even heard boys during the week. I feel like this one was for the Dawson family as much as it was for the Adelaide Crows' season and what the next couple of weeks looks like with a challenging fortnight ahead. And in terms of Dawson, who knows when he'll be back. And the club will support him whenever he wants to come back. And he'll be welcomed with both arms. But I felt like Alex Nilbullen and Ben Keys, in terms of the leadership and the way that they win those moments and really lead and have that kind of fearless aspiration, they did well in that aspect tonight. They're missing a ton of starters, the Crows, but I think tonight was the first time where we really saw a couple cash in on those opportunities. So Braden Cook's had a pretty good season, but this was a great night for him. Spoken a lot about Charlie Edwards on debut and what he was able to accomplish as well. Ben Keys, we know what he can do at his best, but starting to really get into the season as well. So some of these guys, even Hugh Bond, who keeps finding himself in and out, but his disposal is so good, they're making the most of the chances. And by the time they're a fully fit side, which you hope will be sooner than later, they might start having some selection headaches, which is a good problem to have, Josh. Well, I think the other thing as well, I'm just looking through some of the numbers. Miller, Worrell, Laird, all defenders, the leading possession winners for the Crows. Peatling, obviously midfielder, Berry, and then Rankin, who pinch hits a bit in the midfield as well. So I guess the pleasing thing from Adelaide's perspective, they were still able to get the job done without their midfield really having a massive impact on the game. Thoughts of Josh Franco, Ebony Marinoff in the post-game. Adelaide winners by a point. Let's get some reaction in the rooms on ABC Sport. Down to you, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm here with Max Michaelani. Big win. Well done, Max. I have to ask, first of all, clearly a sad and a tough week. How did everything turn around in terms of rallying together to be prepared for playing for a game of football?
Yeah, as you touched on, it's obviously a really emotional week for the club. Dawson's the backbone of this footy club and we love him so much. So our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. But for us to come out and get a win for him, that was our focus. He's given so much to this club. So really wanted to win it for him and we managed to hold on to a really close one. Another slow start. That must be a bit of a concern. Yeah, 100%. I think it's been a bit of a theme throughout the whole year, our slow starts. But in the good light, our ability to fight back from has been a pleasing thing. But, hopefully for next week we'll have to look at a few things. We're still trying to make a few adjustments around that first quarter and hopefully, we'll sort it out next week. On a lighter note, Finbar Maley took a great mark and kicked a goal in the second quarter, and Braden Cook kicked maybe goal of the year in the third quarter. Who are those two you're more likely to hear all about it from during the week? Cookie's actually a really, really, chill guy. He doesn't speak too much, but Finbar will definitely tell you all about it. If the mic was in his hand at the moment, he'd be telling everyone how good he was, but deservingly so. Both of them are absolute stars tonight, and I'm so happy to play alongside them. I'll hand you up to Tom, Aaron, Ebony and Josh Franco upstairs.
Max, Josh Franco, congratulations on the win tonight. If we can go back, obviously we talked about the starts, and you mentioned the starts. Have you actually put your finger on what it is? Because obviously when you talk about trends in your first 5 or 6 games, that's an alarming trend. Have you identified what the issue is?
There's been a few things that keep popping up, but probably the main one's just CB. Our CB work hasn't probably been at the level in the first quarters, but in saying that, our ability to come out in the second quarter and get it right and maintain that for the rest of the game is something that we're pleased with. But again, we need to sort out that first quarter, and that's something we'll be looking to do next week.
Well, the irony of that, mate, is you ended up winning the centre clearances 18-10 and kicked 4 goals too, so a pretty good return for effort in that centre bounce. Look, the other one as well, you've talked about Finbar Maley. Charlie Edwards, his first game, I thought he showed so much composure for a first gamer.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose it might be a surprise to some outside of the four walls of the club, but there's no surprise from us as players. What he's shown over the last few years, his ability to develop, play different positions, and he's been knocking the door down in the sample for a number of weeks, I suppose, where he's been performing at a really high level. So, his opportunity arose this week, and he took it with both hands, which is great to see, and he's a great guy, so I'm really happy for him.
And Max, one last question from me. What's it like standing Wanganeen Miller deep inside your forward 50 when the game's on the line? You've got about 70 metres of space in front of you.
Nah, it's not too bad, to be honest. Obviously, he's a star. And they look for him a lot, but I've got full confidence in myself and my skills.
Maxine Noffa here, great game again. What was the message, I guess, at the start of the game? Was that a soft tag, or what was it in the first quarter? Because they looked like they dropped it.
No, we went to it in the first quarter, and we played as 5 forwards, which we felt was pulling us apart a little bit. You know, Wilkie and Sinclair were able to find a fair bit of the balls. So after the first quarter, we dropped the 5 forwards, went back to the 6 forwards, and that held us in really good stead.
So is that a conversation that happened at the first break in terms of Wilkie and Sinclair's impact on the game?
Yeah. Obviously, I wouldn't know how many touches they had, but it felt like a lot, and that's something we had to nullify. So credit to our forwards. They sorted it out after quarter time, and I suppose it went our way after that.
Max, it's Tom Wilson here, mate. Game 306 for Taylor Walker, and he's kicked a handful. Is he ageing at all? Like, it's quite a remarkable achievement to lead and lift the team, certainly in that second term.
Well, he's just walked past me right now, and still got a really good physique, the big fella. So I don't think he's slowing down at all. He's still got, some of his best footy ahead of him. So I'm excited to see where he's going to go, and he's been a legend of the club for so long now. So it's credit to him. He's an ultimate professional, and we just love him around the club as a leader and a genuine good bloke.
I was going to touch on that. He's still a big spiritual leader for the team, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. He's got a real presence about him and a wealth of knowledge. So we lean on him a lot. And without Dawson tonight, he really stood up in a big way.
So walk us through that, Max. It's Aaron Bryans here. So Alex Neil-Bullen stands in as a skipper. Taylor Walker's kicking 5. Ben Keys is finding some form. All of the guys who are around your leadership group. How much important were they tonight to be able to fill the void of Jordan and then, be able to really channel the group the right way?
Yeah, I suppose that's what we expect from our leaders. They set the tone and the rest of us kind of followed. But in saying that, some of our young players in Hugh Bond, we touched on Cookie before, but these guys seeing what our leaders do and then performing to their level as well is something that we're really proud of. And, hopefully we can keep it up.
Hey, I want to give you your flowers, Max. I feel like the defence of the Adelaide Crows is definitely the pillar of your success so far this season, including last year as well. And you've been doing it without Mark Keane. Can you just walk us through the start of the year when you lose your pillar down back and how you've been able to so quickly adjust and still hold the fort down when at times you've been getting smashed at clearance?
Yeah, obviously losing Keane is obviously really unfortunate for us. But to his credit, he's put the head down and worked really, really hard. So we're getting back in maybe around 5 weeks, I want to say. So we're excited for that. But, the boys stepping up like Wayne Malera and Josh Worrell, even Nick Murray, Jordan Buss, Hugh Bond, the list goes on. So we've started to play a fair bit of footy together now, and we feel like we're gelling really well. And that's why we're standing up in big moments. So hopefully we get Keeney back soon, and we're excited for that. But I'm really proud of how we went about it.
It's never as good as it seems either, Max, or as bad as it can be as well. But you're 3-3 to start the year, and your combined losses are just 16 points against some very good sides. So, the messaging from Matty Nixon, even just internally in the playing group, where do you feel you sit right now? Is the season about to open up now that you've strung together a couple of wins?
We think so. We've never lost confidence, to be honest with you. A few results didn't go our way, but we showed glimpses where we played really, really good footy. That's kind of carried over from last year, but back to our previous conversations around first quarters, they've really let us down. And when you're playing from behind the whole game, it's often tough. But hopefully we can rectify that. And, you'll see us get a lot more wins throughout the remainder of the season.
So a couple of guys who are closing in on returns. One of those, Darcy Fogarty, so he's been probably worse than we expected in terms of that injury to his back. Dan Curtin's eyeing the showdown. Are we going to see some big ins at the Gabba next week, or maybe in a fortnight's time when you get the big blockbuster clash here with Port?
No, we're really hopeful to have them both back playing footy very, very soon. I think Dan Curtin's going to come back through the sample next week, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but that's what we're looking at the moment. And I'm actually living with Fogarty at the moment, so he's in high spirits at the moment, and he's thinking he might be back for next game. So fingers crossed. Hopefully they both recover, and we'd love to have him back.
Unfortunately, Tom's writing down the quote right now. He's ready to run it on 7, I think. But no, that's
he's coming back next week. That's run on 7 already.
That's an excellent line, though, Max. Thank you. And Brisbane next weekend at the Gabba, always a big task. How do you tackle the Lions as you move through this winning streak?
Yeah, well, they're a really experienced side, and it's going to take our best, especially going up there and travelling. But we're confident in the group that we have at the moment to get it done, and that's what we're looking to do.
Thanks for your time, Max, and congratulations. An epic win tonight. Enjoy it, and we'll see you in a fortnight's time here for the showdown.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Max
Michaelani downstairs. Adelaide winners by a point over St Kilda. It went right to the death. One more stoppage with 10 seconds to go, and Adelaide hang on. And as we kind of touched on through that interview, Max and the defensive six have played such a crucial role in getting Adelaide through some really difficult opponents through the last couple of months.
Yeah, and like we've always said as well, even in the early games of this season, that it's so difficult. I don't care what side it is. It's so difficult to replace the talent that's gone out through injury. We saw, I think it was Collingwood a couple of weeks ago against Brisbane. They didn't have Moore, they don't have Dacos, and they look like an average team. So for Adelaide to be able to be 3-3 after a really difficult opening 4 or 5 games, with momentum, players coming back, I think it's a huge result for them.
The injury list is getting better and better.
Yeah.
So it's Archie, who's a fortnight away, Dan Curtin through the SANFL, Darcy Fogarty TVC, and then Mark Keane 5 weeks, and you can probably throw Hinge in there. But at the start of the season, it was some real A-graders, and now it's the gap is closing in terms of the guys they're missing.
Yeah. And I guess when you run through a patch of a season when you have a lot of key players out, you've just got to try to hang on and scrap wins out like they did tonight. So full credit to them.
You weren't a fan of the SANFL comment, Josh, of Dan Curtin coming through the twos?
No, he's playing.
Oh, no, that's right. I was wondering what was going on with your face there. So the Roosters are in a bit of trouble.
No, we'll be fine.
Context for those around the country, Josh Frank was the North Adelaide senior coach, so I understand now why that's bad news for you.
That's why I've been watching Matthew Nix's press conference. As soon as they drop, I'm all over it. Anyway, we'll see.
Let's have a chat about the Saints. So John and Eden Parks got in touch on the text line 0437 774 774 and says, enjoyed the game tonight. Ross Lyon's position as St Kilda coach must surely be under question. Have invested big cash on players for 2026 and they continue to fail to deliver. I'd go as far to say that St Kilda won't win a premiership with him as coach. That's from John. And there's probably a few little things to unpack there.
Yeah.
The lack of Max King obviously has hurt them.
Yep.
But also, you weren't overly bullish heading in, Josh, about what they could do tonight. It ended up being a bit closer than we probably anticipated. But it's just hard to gauge where they actually really sit. They're 2-4, but at times they've been really uncompetitive in quarters, haven't they?
Well, the fact that they could allow 9 goals against after their start, that's an alarming trend as well. We saw it last week. They started the game really well against Port Adelaide, and in the end, probably lucky to get away with that based on what Port Adelaide did to them, probably more so in the second half of that game last week. But it is a bit of a concern. To be honest with you, they performed a lot better than I thought they were capable of tonight. So from my point of view, I'm not a St Kilda supporter by any stretch, but all the Saints fans out there, I think you can look at it glass half full or glass half empty, and I think they are actually okay tonight. My big concern is the DeConing Marshall. And Marshall was outstanding, I thought, in the ruck. They looked a lot better, particularly in centre bounce. DeConing's not really influencing the game, so that's a bit of a worry. So, how they manage that throughout the course of the season is going to be interesting. But look, I think from St Kilda's point of view, putting the money aside and whatever they've paid, the other issue for me is when you've got someone like a Silvani having to match up on a Phil Thorpe, he's just fighting out of his weight division. And I wouldn't say it's unfair on him, but who else do they have to come in and play that role?
Caminiti's probably the one that's missing.
Correct.
So he's a week or two away with the hammy, which is, your 2 bookends basically are unavailable.
And we've just spoken about how sides find it difficult to deal with key players that are out, particularly the sides that probably sit outside the top 8. they can't afford to lose key players. Some of the top sides can because they've got depth of talent coming through, but someone like a St Kilda, you take Max King out, as you said, Caminiti's a huge hole.
And they have to score with all the small forwards, which they were able to effectively do tonight.
Yep.
Just quick one back on De Koning. He was the third ruckman out there. So McAndrew, who's played 6+2 games, 8 games in his AFL career, he's beaten him comfortably.
Yeah.
So they've gone to Marshall, which they have, that lever to pull, who then matched up really well and probably won that part of it. But it's an interesting one because I'm not sure De Koning's a natural forward either.
No, I totally agree with you, Tom. My real concern with De Koning, and I'll clarify this by saying we sat here up in the ABC commentary box. I think it was Port Adelaide. It might have been Adelaide. They played Carlton here, and he won the game off his own boot. I remember thinking this bloke is going to be one of the best players in the comp. I guess from the lofty heights which I thought he'd reach, he's well under that at the moment. My real concern is, his big, I think, attribute is his agility and his ability to pressure the opposition. He didn't have one tackle tonight. He had the one clearance. He had 8 disposals. I mean, forget about disposals, but he's just not impacting the game from a defensive point of view. He's not looking threatening in the air. And he's just hasn't come on the way that I'm sure Ross Lyon and the St Kilda fans and coaching staff would have liked. But you've still got to persist with him. And I think he is still going to be a very, very good player moving forward, but it's just not working at the moment.
Gives me a bit of Josh Carr, Port Adelaide vibes, where it's like we're 2 months into the season and they're probably still tinkering with what their best makeup looks like. And then the new rules will do that to some teams. It's just that their list is good, but the chemistry probably isn't there. The positioning isn't quite solidified, and it might be too little too late by the time they get it going.
They lost by a point.
That's
as well. And I think
maybe
we just need to qualify that. And I think the text on the text line, that's great to have that question. We can have that discussion, but they lost by a point as well. And it is it hurts because it's a 4-point game. They don't get the 4 points.
The other funny stat, Noffy, and I didn't get a chance to read it out tonight. So Hunter Clark in game 113 is technically their 5th highest player for club games. So that shows you how many fresh faces are in the team. So they've got experienced guys out there, but it's a list that hasn't played a lot of footy together, and the ones that have are very, very young. So, like, Ross is still, and this goes back to the chemistry angle, he's trying to get a team together on the same page that has had a lot of hype because of the money that's been involved. But at the end of the day, it's 23 guys who are just learning to work as a team.
Absolutely. And, I mean, we use the word of, just building that synergy. And if that's the statistics, there's clearly not synergy being made. But I feel like even, we've heard about the Filippo in terms of what they may be paying him. Like, we look at Callum Wilkie last year in terms of the offers that he was getting from Western Bulldogs and the potential whispers around the frustration of the money that was being spent on these key stars. I mean, we're sitting up here as commentators and you do, because it creates this... not anger, but, they're getting paid X, Y, Z and they're not performing, and it creates a little bit of, I guess, why they're getting paid and I'm not getting that paid. And you almost wonder what that does inside the 4 walls when you're having... I mean, like you touched on, Tom, they've only lost by 1 point. But if you were looking on this, how much have they paid Silvani to come over?
$850.
But do you know what I mean? In terms of... Well, we know what the salary cap is. There just seems to be so much money spent, and I know it takes time. But if you're a St Kilda fan, you've got to be asking questions of this strategy if it's not going to work.
But also, without fully looking at their books, who's to say they haven't front-ended a lot of these deals?
True.
And they've got a lot of young kids on the list, and they're getting the money out of the way now, so that in a few years they might be loaded with stars.
Yeah, and look, I look at it a little bit differently. I come from a different angle. I forget about the money these guys are on. I think that's irrelevant in terms of where St Kilda are at the moment. They're not one of the non-Victorian, non-traditional AFL clubs with academies that they can draw on to bolster their list. They have to be out aggressively getting players in. And if they think it's a De Koning or think it's a Silvani or a Flanders, then you've got to pay these guys to get them there. And now whether they're the answer or not, time will tell. And over the course of the next 2, 3, 4 years, everyone can make judgment on it. But St Kilda are in a position where they have to go out to target specific players where they've got gaps and holes. And I think the landscape, you just have to do it. So, I must admit, forget about the money that they're on. I mean, you talk about Wanganeen Miller. What's he on? $2 million a year?
Yeah.
He's
and you could argue you could go out and get 3 players on $800 a year.
He's not going to be able to do what he does.
I don't know.
I mean,
So
that's what Port did, and how's it going for them right now? So.
No, but it's interesting absolutely. But the interesting thing about St Kilda, and from what I've witnessed last week and tonight, as I said, I'm glass half full. So in terms, I think there's plenty of upside. And if I looked at them, say, directly in comparison to Port Adelaide, I think Port Adelaide haven't bottomed out yet, whereas I think St Kilda have, and I think they'll start to track north.
How about some of the names as well that aren't in this team? So in the VFL this weekend, they've had Jack McRae come back from a knee issue. He had 21 touches. Paddy Dow's in there as well, another player who's an early pick that could bob up. Liam Henry, haven't seen any of him. Dougal Howard's in and out of the side, but can be a defensive menace as well. So there's 4 guys right there who could be best 23 on any given week.
Yeah.
So there's talent coming through, plus Caminiti and King. So look, 2 and 4's not great. It's probably not the end of the world, but they've got West Coast and Carlton across the next fortnight, and the Eagles game is at home. So you probably think they're favourites in both.
Yeah, and what I will say as well, and not knowing Ross Lyon personally, he's a very good coach. He knows what it takes to be successful at this level. He hasn't got ultimate success, but he knows what it takes. So they're well coached. They got those players to come back. So I think there's plenty to be positive about if you're a St Kilda fan.
The interesting part, and we spoke about this during Gather Round, is Ross is the master deflector. When things aren't going well, he will find a way to cop the criticism so that you don't focus what's happening on field. And I'm really interested to see what he's going to pull out of his bag of tricks this week.
I'm interested as well. I mean, he won't go down this path, or I'd be stunned if he did. But there are a couple of free kicks that they could be aggrieved by. So remember the Rankin free kick that no one knows what that was for? Goal.
Yep.
And then Flanders, basically the only holding the ball of the night. And as Ebony's explained, if you make a genuine attempt, I think he got a handball out there.
Yeah, well, we were close to that, wasn't it? It was on the opposite side. We couldn't see it, the replay.
Gets pinged inside the forward 50 goal. So there are a couple of those ones. And I know Damien Hardwick's spoken about the state of the holding the ball. I feel like it is coming up way too often for all of us in commentary that when we're calling games, there's a complete lack of understanding from us because it's getting called so inconsistently.
Damien Hardwick called it Chook Lotto today in terms of holding the ball in the postscript. So, make of that what you will in terms of the state of holding the ball right now. It was an absolute epic, and, we talk about moments. There were a lot of them tonight, and Adelaide ultimately just get over the line by a point. Let's see how the Saints are feeling in the fallout. Let's head back to the rooms with Steve Murphy.
Yeah, not too bad, actually. A lot of shaking of the head as if to say, yeah, close but not quite kind of thing, I think. A few smiles here and there. No surprises who the most popular player is. Everyone's holding up signs and wanting selfies with Wanganeen Milera. A couple of girls held up a sign saying, can we have your shoes? Sadly, when he walked out, he was in bare feet, so that was never going to happen. But you know what? Considering they've lost, they're not too bad in terms of spirit at the moment.
So 2 and 3 at the moment, St Kilda, and the Eagles to come, and then Carlton straight after that as well. Thanks to Steve, who made his way over to the Saints rooms to get some of the vibe down there after the conclusion of their trip here in South Australia. And as we touched on through the call, the record probably stands at 1-1 now in terms of teams who stayed during Gather Round, and what happens across that fortnight. No one's been able to go unbeaten through their trip. But yes, Saints, nearly got there. It was a point in the difference, and Adelaide get the job done to move to 3-3 on their year. Ebony Marinoff and Josh Franco here as well, unpacking it all for you. Dean on the text line says, did the Saints have some money to burn on the players from being in deficit, and therefore long-term it will average out? I'm sure their aim would have been to be a competitive team in 2 to 3 years. And that's where I sit, Dean, is that without, again, seeing their actual books, I'm sure the list managers made a plan here, which is eventually the money will balance out and you'll be able to continue to bolster your list once you've kind of front-ended those deals. The other thing is, Wanganeen Miller is on $2 million a year, but it's only a 2-year deal.
Yeah, that's
so he's going to come out of contract pretty soon, and then questions will be asked again about what they do there and if the pool to come home is there as well. That being said, the capital that the Power would have had to make an offer is probably a bit harder now with the potential changes to the draft academy system, which probably why they're a bit aggrieved about it. But
yeah, I think they are, and however that plays out, I think that would have been part of their future planning. But there's a Zach Butters issue there. If he doesn't stay, they're certainly going to match it. But if they end up trading him, they'll have the coffers to completely unload on Nasiah. So they're in a position, Port, whether they need to get one of those guys. But it is a big couple of years for the Saints and Naz, and the pressure that's on him to perform every single week. And he's going to be a big part of whichever club's future. And I'm sure that the Saints will be confident that they'll be able to keep him long term.
Probably underestimated how much him staying allowed them to go get other players and I guess win them over the line. So we're sitting here saying he's certainly worth the $2 million, and we saw tonight live just how good his foot skills are and his evasiveness and things, but I guess it's underestimated. And I'm sure St Kilda really understand what him saying yes, and you even heard when players agreed to come across that him staying was a key reason as well. So a few things to do with that
absolute
as well.
draw card to play with one of the best players in the game for sure, and I hope that he can carry you towards a premiership as well, like he almost did in the final quarter. He was terrific, and there might be a few questions, even though Adelaide won, about how they manage superstars in the clutch, because mentioned it in the pre-game, but Dacos, Bontempelli, Wanganeen Miller, they do get a hold of them, and they don't really have a O'Sheen Mullen who blanketed Bont the other night, so they probably need somebody like that in a matchup like that. Funny old day. We've had a lot of fun with the footy. So Gold Coast winners by 9 over the Bombers. Hawks defeated Port Adelaide by 3 and Adelaide winners by 1. It's the first time since August 2018 that there were 2 AFL games on the same day where both sides kicked over 100 points. And twice today, obviously, that happening, but only 5 games for the year that it's happened, and it happened 5 times last year. So it feels like scoring's up, and we might be seeing a lot more kind of centuries through sides and close finishes once you raise the bat. Pretty exciting as a footy fan. And shout out to Taylor Walker, who officially has the most goals kicked in VFL AFL history outside of Victoria with 554. It's a pretty good knock.
It is, absolutely. And even going back to, the high scoring, Ross Lyon's probably been known for defensive dour games, but some of the ball movement from St Kilda tonight, that's why I'm really buoyed by what they potentially can be down the track, because some of their ball movement tonight was unstoppable in terms of defending.
Yeah. Other big news out of the day: Sam Darcy confirmed to have an ACL.
Oh, that's devastating.
What does that do for your stocks in the Western Bulldogs?
It's tragic. It's terrible. Obviously, no English at the moment either.
Yeah.
They're almost in free fall at the moment.
Yeah,
the Western Bulldogs after such a promising start.
4-0. Yeah, we were here for the win over the Crows. And, their slow starts of the year have been a problem in the past under Luke Beveridge, and they go 4-0, and you're thinking, here we go, it's going to happen. And we talk about injuries. We've gone through the list that St Kilda and the Crows have had tonight. It's amazing what happens when you lose your best players, how hard it is to win in this comp.
Well, the irony of Sam Darcy going down last night is when I first flicked over, and we called the Western Bulldogs Hawthorn game where they got totally dismantled by not having a genuine ruck, where they had the young lad, Emmett. They had Emmett, who was fighting out of his weight division
had
again.
5 hit-outs, I think, for the night.
Yeah. And then when I watched the game today, I saw Sam Darcy in the middle. I thought, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. And, in terms of those big gangly guys in the ruck. But, it's devastating for him and devastating for the Bulldogs, because he's potentially a generational player as well.
Do you write him off now, Noffy, or you still have some belief?
Well, I was with Josh and calling that game. I came into that game just having a look, and I'm thinking, I'm just not sure how they go without English, and we spoke about that. That's not just a week-to-week basis. He's going to miss some footy, and I do. I just don't like. And you feel sorry for the kid. I mean, it's devastating. We've watched footy for a long time. Unfortunately, there are just some athletes that get the worst end, and they have some real tough luck, and that's sport. They're very lucky that they've got the best in the business to kind of look after them and things like that. But for Western Bulldogs, even just Ed Richards, like he was in career best form at the start of the season. He's been hampered with a few injuries over the last couple of weeks. He's not at his best. Bontempelli obviously got a hard tag with Mullen, and we saw him a couple of weeks back absolutely blanket Isaac Rankin. And then you've got Tom Liberatore, who's again someone who's been under concussion. So we don't actually know how many concussions has Tom Liberatore had over his.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I am, Aaron. I'm just not quite sure they can do it.
I think the other thing with the Western Bulldogs is, and it might have just been it's coincidental, but I reckon that the extra bench player has been a massive win for sides like Hawthorn with 2 genuine rucks.
Yep.
Would Hawthorn play Reeves and Meek? They probably wouldn't. Now they're coming up against Western Bulldogs who've got English. He's now out. They've got no one else.
Yep.
So I reckon that's how it's going to play out, that if your ruck stocks aren't where it needs to be, then you're going to be found wanting.
Well, you saw a couple of weeks ago when Adelaide trial and error with O'Reilly and McAndrew against Fremantle, against the Darcy.
Yeah.
Which they felt worked for them, but then they did drop O'Brien straight after. But I don't know how much of that was saving face in terms of the messaging. But I mean, you saw Port today. They put Dante Vicentini in, and they're very competitive against Hawthorn because they have two rucks.
And we said on this morning show, I think that the nature of the game and the nature of the ruckman, in terms of their job description, it's combative, it's physical, and it's wear and tear on the body. So if you can manage your ruckman and play even 60% game time over the course of the year, I reckon it'll pay dividends later in the season. If you're in the top 10, is it now?
Yeah.
Top 10?
Yeah.
If you can
I'm only really counting the top 6 now. I'm like, if you're 7 to 10, it's not happening.
And you've got two ruckmen that are physically ready to go rather than being fatigued at the end of the season. That's where I think this, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I just looked at the model of Hawthorn and they look, I don't know, they look good.
I reckon you've hit the nail on the head in terms of the fatigue. I mean, we play 24 games now and you talk to all the players, they say it's too much. The game's getting longer.
Yep.
Do you know, and that's such a crucial part of the game. We saw the centre bounce clearance really dominant either team tonight.
Yeah.
When you've got two, with the jumping rule as well, we're bringing in more collisions, more impact. I think you're absolutely right. You'll see come September in terms of the freshen up that, those teams that are playing two genuine rucks, whether that's 60-40, 50-50, real benefit from that.
The other thing as well with ruckman, and it's interesting, I reckon narrative around ruckman goes in waves. You don't need a good ruckman. Rubbish, because you don't know how important they are until you haven't got a good one. Ask Western Bulldogs now if they'd like a Jordan Sweet or a Rowan Marshall playing for them.
Because as you touched on before, if you don't even have two, you waste. You're risking a forward by putting them in as the pinch hitter, and then you're robbing Peter to pay Paul by throwing someone out. The other big story out of the day was the follow-up to the Elijah Hollands issue on Thursday night, and we don't want to speculate on exactly what occurred for Elijah that night. Carlton have said it was a mental health episode. There were some reports today from Caroline Wilson that potentially Elijah has told Collingwood players he was under the influence, or at least had drunk before the game. Again, this is entirely down to the AFL's investigation moving forward, which they put a statement out today saying Carlton, once they've conducted a review, need to essentially tell them everything they've learned. How hard do the AFL need to go here? Because I feel like most of the footy community is banded together saying that something unacceptable has happened here, where a player has been put in a compromising position and has copped a lot of heat from the footy public because he clearly wasn't in a condition to play.
I think they've got to go hard, to be honest with you, when you're talking about the well-being, physical and mental well-being of a player. And the thing that staggers me is that there's so many people in the change rooms before a game. There's players, there's coaches, there's welfare staff, there's psychologists, there's your nutritionist.
Oh, I was going to say, there's even a nutritionist.
Yeah, there's everyone. So how has that got through the net? And again, I don't know if this is right, but was he getting his heart rate monitored in the third quarter? Is that there was talk of that?
Yeah, I've heard some speculation.
Whether that's right or not. But if that is the case, and then he still goes out in the ground, I don't know.
There's so many checks and balances in footy, and it's amazing he's got through so many. So, I'm with you that the AFL has every right to ask a serious question here and find out exactly what has happened. And I guess if Caroline Wilson's report has any truth to it today, they should be interviewing every Collingwood player out there alongside all of the Carlton ones as well, and really get down and dirty into this to figure out what has happened.
I think the other thing as well is because Elijah Hollands, he got delisted at the end of last year. Yeah. Obviously with his off-field issues, and I don't know whether the board have to tick it off or how it works to get him back on the list, and then for this to happen again and it go unnoticed, particularly in a game when it's prime time in front of however many thousand people, is a worry.
The other problem without opening a can of worms with 2 minutes to go in our coverage is, and Ebony Marinoff touched on this, under the new drugs policy, senior coaches aren't actually allowed to know if a player's having any problems anymore. So that puts them in a compromising position as well, because say something is happening with Elijah, Michael Voss might not be allowed to know about it anymore.
Well, you saw in his press conference, I think he said that he had a poor sleep maybe the night before.
It was an anxious day, and
So that's the new policy, and obviously the AFLPA, have those policies in place and liaise with, I guess, AFL as such. But you just find it, even as a player myself, you find it so interesting that the head coach that makes so many crucial decisions has, you'd hope, really strong relationships with each player, and you need to be able to have honest conversations as a head coach. I just find that really baffling. But that's one thing I just don't quite understand, the head coach.
Fast running out of time, 3-2-1 out of Adelaide's 1-point win over the Saints, Josh.
Now, Tom's given me some information on this, so
here we go.
You don't like the 3-2-1.
What do you mean?
No, I'm just throwing you under the bus there. Really difficult. I've given Sinclair 3 votes. I thought he was outstanding. He's had 6 score involvements. He's had 35 disposals, kicked at 81%, and 717 metres game. So I thought his game was outstanding. I struggled with this one. I've actually given Walker. You kicked 5 goals. But I could have easily given Wilkie, but he stood him. So, look, kicking 5 goals, hugely influential in the win. So I've given him 2 votes, and I actually thought Cook's game was outstanding. And again, looking at his numbers, he's 93% kicking efficiency, 19 touches, 7 score involvements, 573 metres gained.
Josh, thanks for your works tonight. Good to see you, Noffy, as well. Huge thanks to Dom Artek and down in the rooms with Steve as well. Tom for calling the action and back in the studio with Mitch Turner. 3 to Sinclair, 2 to Walker, 1 to Braden Cook, and Adelaide get away with one right at the death. They win by a point over St Kilda in a thrilling affair earlier. Gold Coast knocking off Essendon by 9 and Hawthorn defeating Port by 3. And we got all the fallout tomorrow. 12 Eastern, AFL Sunday with Matt Clinch and Cameron Ling, and then a triple header to wrap up round 6. North Melbourne and Richmond at the Docklands at 1, the D's and the Lions at the MCG at 3, and then the Eagles and Freo in Derby.